Welcome back to the Convo Couch, everyone. Pastor Jardula here. Good morning. How are you?
Jesus Christ. Damn, that was a little excessive.
All right, welcome back to the Convo Couch. Pastor Jardula here.
No, that's not you.
So somewhere in between?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome back to the Convo Couch. Pastor Jardula here.
Fiorella.
And Johnny Sue is still spinning on those ones and twos, and he is spinning hard today.
Okay.
All right.
He's spinning hard?
He's spinning hard. Does that sound too phallic? I didn't mean to do that. Sorry.
No, that's not what I was thinking.
What were you thinking?
It just doesn't make sense. I don't know. I don't know.
Johnny, when you're a DJ, you can go hard, right? If
know.
the crowd's going like, and you just start spinning and you start scratching.
85.
Yes, you go hard. You can go hard on the ones and twos. Okay. That's what the old school DJs used to go to. Like Flowers. I know Flowers. DJ Flowers. Fam, we got a great show today. Got a lot of stuff going on. Got a protest tomorrow. Going to be walking in the streets for the people of Palestine, covering it up. You know, they're Israel that is covering up everything that they do.
Yeah.
Their mainstream media out there puts out a certain narrative. We see what's going on. And we're gonna get out there, and I'm suspecting this to be really big.
I hope so. I mean, I just put I have to add it to the I just put a list on my Twitter of all the threads, and we'll go over that at the end of all the protests. There's still more happening. There are some that have already passed, but they do this like, you know how they do the protests. It's like a couple days before. They don't put it out too early. So these are completely just. It's not like there's a big anti-war movement here. It's not like there's a big Palestinian movement. I mean, there's protests in Florida and Miami and Tampa and like places where it's heavily Jewish populations, we know. And so we'll see what happens, guys. We'll see. This is a very clear-cut situation here. You know, people always say, well, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is complex. Well, that's because that's what we're told here. We're told by our politicians that the situation is so complicated. But the reality is, it's if you go by history, if you go by what actually happened, you have a colonizer and you have an occupied people, and then even if you say Israel,
and a major nation giving permission to that colonizing state to take control,
giving permission, giving money, giving funds,
all that
etc.
stuff. Yeah.
So it's very clear cut to me. This is an issue where it's very, you know, you're on the side of the people who want some sort of justice, who want to be treated like decent human beings, or you're on the side of people really committing a genocide and apartheid. I mean, it's really, I rarely in our life do we come across situations that are that clear cut.
Yeah.
Rarely,
yeah.
Especially in foreign policy, issues are very murky and complicated. But in this case, it's really not. So let's get to it, fam, because like, we have a lot of stuff, and we have a guest today.
We do have a lot of stuff today. And I just want to say, you ditto to what you said. A lot of these areas, I think that Andrew Yang thought he was going to be safe in New York, saying, I stand with Israel. But everything's changing right now.
Right.
You know, we're talking about the whole Democratic-Republican thing, how everything is changing now. And it's time to be that change if you want to be a leader in this movement. That's the way, at least the way I feel. So let's get rolling. We do have a lot of stuff, fam. I'll give you the ones and twos. Go right ahead.
All right, so we had to talk about this because everybody is like, what the hell's going on? And the reason I want to talk about this is because we shouldn't be talking about this. We shouldn't be paying attention to this scuffle that's happening. So this isn't okay. So AOC has been sort of both siding the issue, you know, criticizing Joe Biden on one end, but then liking Greta Thunberg's both citing status.
Yep.
She hasn't really gone after Nancy Pelosi at all. Nancy Pelosi is somebody that could put out legislation that could really, really push for it. If she's going after Joe Biden, she should also go after Nancy Pelosi. However, my issue with her and the whole squad is the virtue signaling, and I kind of talked about it yesterday, where they are just doing a lot of like, oh, this is bad, but we also pushed you to vote for Joe Biden. We also aren't really holding Nancy Pelosi accountable. And they're still talking about Hamas as this really bad thing that must be condemned. And that is extremely dangerous because it still manufactures consent for what Israel's doing.
Exactly.
And that's kind of like the same thing when Ilhan Omar was talking about the Syrian, like the attack from the United States on Syria, but simultaneously saying Assad is a dictator. Like, you're still manufacturing consent that they did something wrong, that these people are terrorists, that sort of aspect. And we can't do that anymore. You can't continue going down that path.
Mm-hmm.
So she said, this to Biden, right? By only stepping in to name Hamas's actions, which are condemnable, in this part right here, and refusing to acknowledge the right of Palestinians, Biden reinforces the false idea that Palestinians instigated the cycle of violence. This is not neutral language. It takes a side, the side of occupation. Okay, so she's right, but she is doing the same thing. This is my problem with her. She's still both siding. We don't have to read that part, but that's exactly what she's doing. So then the AOC starts kind of just focusing on Marjorie Taylor Greene because her whole thing with Marjorie Taylor Greene is like, they're the opposite. She's like the progressive, crazy socialist commie, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is the QAnon, like election rigging believing, like crazy right wing. Yeah. And I mean, a lot of those stereotypes fall true, but a lot of them don't. A lot of them are just exaggerations on both ends. AOC is not a socialist commie at all. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, the reason they hate her so much mostly, I mean, she's low-hanging fruit here. I like people just going after her endlessly. It's like, does she have any power? Not really. They hate her more because of the election shit than anything else, right?
And she's not like the typical establishment Republican. She's more like that Trump-minded, patriot of sorts, all in that movement is what they call themselves. And so she is definitely like a Trumper, not a Republican. And that's why they also hate her. They hate her because of her stances on LGBT and whatnot. Yeah. And it is the low-hanging fruit for emotions. But really quickly, fam, don't you feel that sometimes the virtue signaling from AOC, it's not just about sounding good, it's also about sheep herding people on to that side. It actually works because it's an emotional thing.
Of course. And this has a purpose. And this isn't saying the things that Marjorie Taylor Greene has said shouldn't be criticized in whatever way. But what I'm saying is there's an exploitation of the situation.
Yes, there is.
By AOC and the Democratic Party and the media. There's the Washington Post. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene aggressively confronts Rep. AOC, causing the New York Congresswoman to raise security concerns. Here she is again. Once again, when it was Twitter violence, she was talking about, hey, go after these people. Yeah. When it was the Capitol 6 riots, she was like, you said you wanted to have me killed. She is extremely overdramatic. It really just discredits her all the time because she's like this like drama queen. This girl is just like a constant drama queen, right? And I'm just gonna read a couple of things here from this article. So after Marjorie Taylor Greene accosted her, AOC said that she needed more security. 2 Washington Post reporters apparently witnessed this. She left the House of Chamber. She exited late last Wednesday afternoon. Who was running after with Marjorie Taylor Greene running after her, saying, "Hey, Alexandria," twice in an effort to get her attention. When Ocasio-Cortez did not stop walking, Greene picked up her pace and began shouting at her and asking why she supports Antifa. This is, a loosely knit group in the far left activists and Black Lives Matter, falsely labeled them as terrorist groups. Greene also shouted that Ocasio-Cortez was failing to defend her radical socialist beliefs by declining to publicly debate the freshman from Georgia. Again, like, the right doesn't do themselves any favors when they bring up like radical Antifa and all this other crap, and like it's just culture war. It's like watching Cassandra Fairbanks and like some person that's always posting about white supremacists fight each other. Like this isn't the left. She doesn't represent like the anti-imperialist leftists that could actually explain to you, okay, here are the nuances of BLM, here are the nuances of militias, here's what, like, no, this, and then she comes back with, she's a commie. She's not a commie, or she's not a socialist, she's not a radical anything. That's the problem we have. She's not doing what she was supposed to be doing, and I hate it when the right just continues pushing these stereotypes that are false.
These are the stupid parts.
And the same thing, she does the same thing. Oh, the QAnoner, the insurrectionist, the
bullshit
same
versus bullshit.
It's just a waste of time. And and Greene said, you don't care about American people, why do you support terrorists? Like this is so stupid. And so then Greene wanted to argue with AOC, and then apparently that she started screaming at her, and the AOC was called a terrorist sympathizer. And so what they basically said after this statement was, we hope leadership and the Sergeant of Arms will take real steps to make Congress a safe civil place for all members and staff, especially as many offices are discussing reopening. One member has already been forced to reallocate her office due to Congresswoman Greene's attacks, and that was Cori Bush. Cori Bush relocated because apparently she felt threatened by Greene.
Oh, please.
And yeah, and so this is the part that I wanted to read from Marjorie Taylor Greene. She said she's a chicken. She doesn't want to debate the Green New Deal. She said to a small group of reporters and onlookers near the entrance to the chamber, "These members are cowards. They need to defend their legislation to the people." That's pathetic. And then Greene, of course, is a Donald Trump supporter, like Pasta said. Yeah, so the people, a lot of people don't like her, like you said, on the Republican end. They feel like she's too distracting.
The establishment don't like her. Yeah, she doesn't get in line.
Pasta, but I feel like she's still. I feel like she's still establishment. I feel like she's still establishment. As long as you take that money, as long as you're peddling the same culture war bullshit, I still feel like you're establishment. You're just kind of like less uncouth. You know how Trump was like very blunt about how he did things? I feel like she's like him in that way. Like, she's very blunt. I still feel like they're establishment. I mean, to say they're not establishment is kind of like...
Well, I don't think they're like buddies with the Mitch McConnells and the Lindsey Grahams. I don't think she's like inside top of that group yet. You know what I'm saying?
No,
like,
I mean, I mean, they're not.
I think Liz Cheney is more like, tied to the military-industrial complex and that whatnot. Whereas if she's one of those kind of like, I don't want to say populist, right? Because I don't think it's. I'd say Trumper is sort of. It's a different brand to me.
I think
but once
there's
again,
different
the
layers,
money is
right?
it's the
on the right,
layers,
because there's just like there is on the left. There's different people that don't get along on the right. Like, we can't say
exactly
they're a monolith, but
in this situation, fam, I just want to say this much: at the end of the day, AOC is going to lose because she is avoiding conversation. She's acting like words or violence and stuff. Yeah. And if she had any guff, she'd stand there and debate Marjorie Taylor. We would assume that when AOC got into office, that if she had the opportunity to debate a person like Marjorie Taylor Greene, she would do it. She would take it, and she would eat her up and chew her out.
Exactly.
But she can't because she's such a fake. Of course, you'd say, "Oh, you want to debate? Let's go," and you would chew her up and spit her out. But then again, you'd be true to your words and whatnot. This whole tactic, and we witnessed this.
Well, because they can't defend it. They can't defend this. Because if we want to talk about the Green New Deal, it's bullshit.
Yes.
Like, the Green New Deal as is bullshit. We've talked about this endless times. I talked about it at the Kenosha event, like, that I was at. Like, I'm not like the Green. We need something better than the Green New Deal. So you like, she could easily like chew her up and be like, yeah, the Green New Deal isn't better, blah blah blah. It isn't good enough. Here's what I would do to work with to find a solution, blah blah blah. But she won't do that because she can't defend it, because she is just a PR narrative manager.
Well, with that being said, so what becomes the tactic, right? You can't defend your positions. You get a microphone in the mainstream media to put out your propaganda, and then when you have to face somebody, and this is something we've all witnessed from when Jonny first came to the Convo Couch. Remember the whole thing with Jimmy Gomez? What does he do? He avoids a debate. It's just him and Kenneth Mejia now. It's after the jungle primary. It's the two of them. They avoid. Now AOC, Nancy Pelosi hasn't debated anybody since Christ left Chicago. I mean, that's their whole tactic. And the reason why their tactic is that way is because Democrats can't stand behind their policies. Therefore, all they can do is get in a microphone, virtue signal, sheep herd over the people who are have their emotions on their sleeves, and then avoid any type of media that's going to get in their face. It's going to avoid any type of opponent that's going to get in their face. And at the end of the day, the independents out there, they're going to see this shit and say, AOC's a chicken. Why won't she stand up for her positions? And this whole, oh my God, Cori Bush has got to move. AOC's got to move because they feel threatened. Get out of here. You're not fooling anybody. Well, no, you are fooling somebody, but not enough people to move the masses.
You just become like an attention-seeking like victim mentality, and like they're not victims, dude. They're not. The working class in America are victims right now. The Palestinians are fucking victims. This is distracting from all of that, and of course, like I said, it's the culture war thing. Marjorie Taylor Greene has a part to play too, but again, it's just kind of exposing AOC more than Marjorie Taylor Greene. You don't see us doing videos of her because she is low-hanging fruit. Like, what am I gonna say? She isn't really have any power. She doesn't have any power. AOC is one of the most powerful congresswomen because of who she is and her brand. So she said AOC, that AOC's afraid of debating with her about the socialist Green New Deal. There we are again. The Green New Deal is anything but socialist. It's a global capitalist type of thing. AOC is a fraud and a hypocrite. Ooh. That's fine, Sandy. Since you lack the courage and intelligence to debate me, I'll debate a person who really wrote it. So that's what's going on with them. Mm. And here are a couple things, right? A couple sentiments from it's already up there. Yeah. From the people, because gay unemployed waiter said Democrats are using Rep. Ocasio-Cortez to suck out all the oxygen and keep you busy while they do nothing except tweet. And that's exactly what's happening, guys. That's exactly what is going on. Meanwhile, Joe Biden, and this, I mean, I put it in this section because AOC is pretty much running narrative management for the Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. And here's old Joe. Let's see what he had to say on his brand of Zionism.
We look at the Middle East. Think about time. We stop. Look, if we look at the Middle East, I think it's about time we stop, those of us who support, as most of us do, Israel in this body, for apologizing for our support for Israel. There's no apology to be made. None. It is the best $3 billion investment we make. Were there not an Israel, the United States of America would have to invent an Israel to protect her interest in the region. The United States would have to go out and invent an Israel. If we look at
what do you make of that? The United States, if we didn't have Israel, I mean, if we didn't pretty much help Israel, that didn't exist. It didn't exist. Pretty much occupy and expel the colonized people, the oppressed people, the Palestinians, the indigenous population of the area. We would have to invent an Israel. What?
Yeah.
What do you think he means by that foreign policy?
It means that we would have to find a place for the people of Jewish religion, since they, once again, the Holocaust stuff, we'd have to provide them a place and invent it for them to be safe and whatnot. I think everything has to stem. They've always used, the reason why we did this here and we, pretty much took away land from the Palestinians, we had to give Jewish people a state for reparations for the Holocaust. So no matter what, he says that the world would kind of owe them that to be able to have that state. That's what I took
it as if we didn't have an Israel, the United States would have to invent an Israel, because if you look at it geographically, we have without Israel there, we wouldn't have control of the Middle East. Israel is our partner in crime in getting control of the Middle East. So I feel yes, that's what people would take it as. But really, underneath, it's about the resource extraction. It's about accumulation of power and influence in the Middle East. Because if you look at who's really controls the Middle East, unfortunately, it's Israel and Saudi Arabia. And those are our two biggest allies. Mm-hmm. So if we didn't have a powerful state like Israel with their military, that if you decide not to join the military, you get you go to jail. You get so much crap, because there are people that are trying to fight against the IDF and against the military industrial complex in Israel, which is obviously directly tied to ours, and they get they're not, it's so hard to do that. You have to escape to America, you have to do all these things, so that's how it's set up. So I think in that sense too, I think they would invent some sort of other military power.
I see what you're saying. Geographically, we would have to invent something so we have a presence in that area to do what we got to do. I hear you. I look at it as more we owe them, is what he was saying. We owe it to them. We owe it to society after the Holocaust to make sure that Israel has a state, that they have the right to exist. And once again, that argument is okay, but how do you do it? How do you go about it? Do you just take land away from somebody else? Do you let the same practices that were once thrusted upon Jewish people during World War II on the Palestinians now and don't say anything? And it's the modern era, so it's a lot different right now. Rockets and missiles, they be killing people on a regular basis. The weaponry we have now, since we split that atom, And since the technological boom, I mean, it's disgusting what we can do, and it's disgusting what's happening, and we can no longer turn a blind eye. We have to find a way. If you're one of those people who like, well, I want to deal with stuff in modern society today. I don't want to talk about what happened thousands of years ago and what's going on now. Well, how do we deal with it today? What do we do tomorrow to stop the killing of Palestinians, to stop the oppression of Palestinians? There are more Palestinians, I think, in Jordan, you know what I'm saying, and spread out through these areas because they were thrown away from their homes. You know, I mean, so we have to figure something out. You know, we can't just sit back here.
And the United States isn't in control of what, like, that's the thing. A lot of Israelis were fine the way they were. Like, it's like, I don't know, dude. It's like, it's an ethnic group. It's like not everybody that's an ethnic group has a, like, land or a country. This was like facilitated by the United States. Like, really, like, at this point, people aren't really arguing that Israel has the right to exist, but at the same time is like, really, they weren't a nation state. They were just a people. So President Biden also said, as the holy month of Ramadan comes to an end, Jill and I send our warmest greetings to all those celebrating Eid. May you be well throughout the year. Eid Mubarak. So there he is, trolling, right? Trolling. He's sending like, you know, his warmest welcome for the happiest holy month of Ramadan. And at the same time, he is condemning like what's happening to Israel. And he's painting Palestinians as the guilty party. And that, to me, is one of the most hypocritical things you could fucking do. Because honestly, like, it's to me, it's more than gaslighting now. Like, it's almost like they're trolling us. It's almost like they're trolling people.
It's just a giant virtue signal. It's up right there. It's a giant virtue signal too, as well. And really, to tell you the truth, this is the problem we have. A lot of people don't go into the dive of the nuances of politics. They're working two jobs. They're consumed. Yeah. Some people are consumed with some form of bullshit entertainment or whatever the case may be. It's an attack 100%. So they throw these sound bites out there and it's like, oh, Joe's wishing, a bunch of Muslim people happy lives and a happy holiday. That's beautiful. Meanwhile, they don't look at the whole thing of him like what you put up and talking about we'd have to create Israel when he goes, I'm a Zionist, when he said before too as well. And he's actually he's okay with people who are trying to celebrate Ramadan getting bombed by cluster bombs. I mean, it's bullshit. We see the bullshit. We've seen the bullshit in AOC and the squad now because it's easy to read, but people don't believe it. They watch mainstream media. They watch a little of it. They read the headlines and they move on. So yeah, he's got a bunch of low-hanging fruit, mentally convinced that he's a good guy. He's a swell guy. That's a bunch of malarkey. He's the blue dog regular guy. He acts like an actual right winger. That's what he acts like. Ocasio-Cortez has a Taco Tuesday with Buttigieg. So again, here's AOC once again, the media focusing on her like with stupid shit. Do I think it's a big deal that she had Taco Tuesday with Buttigieg? No, but it's just funny because Buttigieg has ties to the CIA. And now there are rumors that she has ties to CIA. I really don't want to get into that very much, but I just wanted to, to put that out there because it's like, I don't know, like anything she does is like exploited by the media, both on the left and right? Like anything she does. And it's like, I just feel like she's a giant distraction, just like Marjorie Taylor Greene is a distraction for the left. I think she's a giant distraction for the right and for anybody that, like, for all her obsessive fans to come up defend her. If anybody says something, I made a joke like 2 CIA assets walk into a taco shop in DC. Like, it's just like, but that happens all the time in DC, right? Like, it just happens all the time. I think she's almost like working in conjunction with them. Like, okay, you're going to go for Taco Tuesday. We'll have the camera there.
Yeah,
with
maybe
PDB, and we'll get a good op.
Well, that's what actors do in Hollywood. What are politicians at this point? Really,
same thing.
You know what I mean? Like, what is a politician? That's not like an entertainer at this point. Like a PR just front. Like, oh hey, I'm gonna do some publicity stunts, and that's what they do. Like, I mean, it's just bullshit. Like, you don't have to like.
What's with
so
the
dumb.
pictures of
It's
Pete
just so dumb.
Buttigieg now with all the food now out there? Ever since he went to, I think he went with Al Franken, right, in Harlem to get chicken or something like that. They've been showing pictures with him eating food all the time.
He's human, fam. He's a human,
Oh, God,
regular guy.
He's
from
a regular.
Indiana.
I'd like to have a beer with Joe Biden. That's the whole thing they said with with Bush. I'd have a beer
Remember
with Bush.
the beer with Warren?
Oh my God, yeah, when she opens up beer. It was so scripted. It was such bullshit and stuff like that. But that's where we're at. Listen, I'm looking for people. Like I said, I'm looking for candidates, activists to get ahead of this thing, to say the hell with these parties. This two-party illusion no longer is going to fool us and stuff. We got to get outside of it. Yeah. We have to think outside of the electoral process. We have to force these guys to do what we want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, man, you're going to vote this way, or you're going to move this piece of legislation, or we're going to show up in front of your house. Have a clear, decisive plan of what you want them to do and make them do it. And hold them accountable at all times. This all theater here is just ridiculous. Want to read some Super Rays? Yeah. Johnny, you got anything to say about that? You don't want to go for Taco Tuesday with AOC? No, I don't know.
She's buying.
And I'm surprised we didn't see hard shell tacos in this one. That would have been just.
I always told you that's a white person thing.
Nice crunch. I remember when I first wanted tacos and I saw the commercial. Mom, she got the Taco Viva kit, and I thought that was tacos. Man, when I moved to California, I got a lesson. No offense to you either. We love you, brother. Fearless fighting, the good fight. Please keep it up, D. Roar Media, our brothers and sisters at Roar Media, has impeached Biden for war crimes, accomplice to Israeli genocide of the Palestinians.
Agree.
I agree too. Reeve Barker, the Convo Couch, is always appreciating your love. David Asper, love and thanks to you folks. No, David, love to you. Thank you so much. These Super Rays mean so much to us. And Faja Bueno, look at that name. That's a new one, Faja. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the Rokfin. 43 people hanging out. Your tip is always appreciated on the couch.
It's not a club. It's a fam.
It's the fam. Welcome to the fams, where our only fams are there. We have 185 watching on the YouTubes. We have 43 on the Rokfins. Guys, like, share, and subscribe. All that BS, because we are getting shadow banned. We're getting put in the algorithm down.
Yep.
Let's jump into the next section before our guest comes on. We'll blitzkrieg through this. There's not a lot on it. So what's going on in Maricopa, we have to bring you up to date on that too as well. It's very interesting. A lot of the things we talked about, a lot of the things we brought to you right from the horse's mouth have come out, and something new has come out as well. There's a lot of discrepancies, right?
Yeah, this is big, some of these things.
Today is the last day they'll be counting before they pack up everything, move it to the back of the Memorial Coliseum, lock it up, 24-hour surveillance, armed guard surveillance will be there. Maybe they can get some people in there to do some computer work and stuff like that, but the counting is going to stop while Phoenix is going to be doing their graduation ceremonies. There's 17 high school graduations that will be taking place over the week. They're coming in tomorrow morning, Saturday. The people to set up for the high school. So Monday through Thursday, they'll be doing the walks, and then Thursday night, they will be knocking everything down. Friday, the process will begin again, where they'll be bringing everything out. And this time, Johnny, Fee, they're supposed to have more volunteers there to do more counting. They're getting close around, he said, to the 275,000 ballot counts. In other words, they've counted close to 300,000 ballots of the 2.1 million. And they're not going to go any faster. They're going to have more people. They'll be going a little faster. What I'm saying is they're not going to bend on the integrity and rush anything when it comes to the situations. However, there are a few things that we have to discuss. There's a few hurdles we have to get past, but there's new information, fam, that has come to light. So the Maricopa County audit, right? So Karen Fan wrote a letter of three issues that we had talked about. We talked about two of the issues. There's another issue that came into play that we didn't know, and we'll be getting more information as it comes along. No chain of custody for ballots. Ballot pouch catch didn't match with the actual ballots. Deleted databases. Cut security seals. Ongoing non-compliance with subpoenas, and more. Read the letter to the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. So what Karen Pham has done is she's highlighted three areas which they have a lot of problems. Now, don't get me wrong, fam. A lot of this, that she had to put this out there with the delay going on because we don't want the feds to come in and confiscate it. We don't want this thing shut down during the high school graduations. So Karen Pham had to counteract what Democratic Secretary of State, who hates Trump supporters, Katie Hobbs, has been putting out there that narrative that there's a lack of security. Believe it or not now, Democrats care about the chain of custody all of a sudden when Katie Hobbs writes a letter. She also had a reporter ask her questions, and now she's got the highway patrol. What's with Democrats getting like armed guards now and stuff all the time when they're getting approached with questions?
They're getting cops. Miss like AOC and this other one, Katie Hobbs, like, oh, we don't like cops. All of a sudden, like, you embrace cops, the CIA. It's the same thing that happened after January 6th.
Yeah. Johnny, thank you for putting that up in the right spot because I forgot to put my pictures in there. Johnny's got my back today. So the first thing that she complained about was it says, Dear Chairman Sellers. Now, what she's done is she's called for a meeting on May 18th, and she's invited the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors to come and answer these questions because they have some serious questions because they have a hole. So she wrote, I am writing to seek your assistance and cooperation in the resolution with 3 serious issues that have arisen in the course of the Senate's ongoing audit of the returns of the November 3rd, 2020 general election in Maricopa County. Number 1, the ongoing non-compliance with the legislative subpoenas. Now, this is what we talked about, right? We talked about the logs they're not getting information for. They're not getting the passwords. And she lists that here, and she puts that out there. The first issue concerns Maricopa County's apparent intent to renege on its previous commitment to comply fully with the legislative subpoenas issued on January 13th, 2021, which, as you know, Judge Thomason found were valid and enforceable. To date, attorneys for the Maricopa County have refused to produce vital images of routers used in connections with the virtual images, not vital, virtual images of routers used in connection with the general election, relying on the conclusory and unsupported assertion that providing the routers would somehow endanger lives of law enforcement, their operations, or the protected health information and personal data of Maricopa County citizens. In truth, the fact that Maricopa County stores on its routers substantial quantities of citizens and employees' highly sensitive personal information is an alarming incident of the county's lax data security. What?
It's an indictment
of the county's lack data security practices, rather of the legislative subpoenas, and pretty much saying that it would cost $6 billion seems odd, you know what I'm saying, to get this information. So that's what they've been talking about. On the next statement, it talks about the passcodes. It talks about the sheriffs. So pretty much the first issue is like, why are you reneging on your agreement to give us everything we need to do a good audit? We need to look at these routers. We want to know if the machines were talking with the tabulation machines on election night. We want the password so we can go in and look at the back of these machines as far as the software and everything's concerned. So she laid that out. This is something now that's kind of new. Did you want to read something there? The routers have already been disconnected from the county's network. We're prepared for imminent. I can't read that last word. Delivery to the Senate. With that blue is dark. Sorry. The second part of this letter, fam, she talks about this, and this is something that's come to fruition right now that we have to discuss, and we got to see if this is going to really be a hurdle in getting an accurate count when it comes to the audit. The chain of custody and ballot organization anomalies, okay? And they talked about this. As the audit has progressed, the Senate's contractors have become aware of apparent omissions, inconsistencies, and anomalies relating to the Maricopa County's handling, organization, and storage of ballots. We hope you can assist in understanding these issues, including specifically the following. And I just want to say right off the bat, we have extensive knowledge about this. Our friend Todd Jones has talked when he went and did a part of a recount and a audit in Riverside. You should have a manifest that says this is the box, this is the precinct, or this is where it came from, with the ballots in order, the way they were actually processed on the machines. That's why when we see them on the carousel, they're doing one, they're spinning it around, and they're making sure they keep everything in the same order. Because the way those ballots went into the box are the same way they should have went through the machine. There should always be a manifest so you can just match it up. You can go to that box, open up that box. It should be in the order they went in the machine, match up the images with that going on. They don't have that. And in fact, they've talked right here. Number 1, the county has not provided any chain of custody documentation for the ballots. So there's nothing there. They talk about chain of custody, fam, and yet they're ignoring it themselves. All the data and all the ballots that came over, there's no manifest for that. The bags in which the ballots were stored are not sealed, although the audit team has found at the bottom of many boxes cut seals of the type that would have sealed a ballot bag. Why are these seals placed at the bottom of the boxes? In other words, these seals are supposed to be on top. It's supposed to be done with a certain tape. You know what I'm saying? You can't just have Scotch tape or regular. These seals are supposed to seal the boxes, and they're not supposed to be open. Batches within the box are frequently separated by only a divider without any indication of the corresponding batch numbers. Once again, they're out of batch. They're out of order. It's just a bunch of crap they're giving them. They didn't handle this well, and this to me is showing me that they're going to say it's negligence, it's ignorance. Oh, we were just negligent, you know what I'm saying? We didn't know what we were doing. We were just rushed. It was a crazy election this time. It was more that we can handle. If you get away with incompetence, you won't be blamed for fraud. And that is going to be what the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors is going to attempt to do. They're going to try to say it's ignorance, it's negligence, it's not fraud.
But they can only get away with that for so much, because if it's a lot of incompetence, then people start saying, is this incompetence or is this purposely?
Well, I mean, we say that, but they keep getting away with it. They always plead ignorance and get away with it. Yeah. Oh, it's oops, my bad.
But I mean, they'll get away with it in terms of like the law, but in terms of people's trust in the system, no.
Yeah. And number 4, by the way, it just said most of the ballot boxes were sealed with regular tape, not secured by any kind of tamper evidence seal. We talked about that. Number 5, the audit team has encountered a significant, in other words, you have a pink slip. It's supposed to say it has 1,100 ballots, whatever, and you go into it, and it's 960,
right,
or whatever the case, or vice versa.
So they've already encountered mismatches.
Yes,
yeah,
and really they laid it out too as well. They showed like a ballot 5. This batch, pink slip total, 200. Actual total, 198.
Okay.
You know, they have it all listed. She laid it all out. She goes, look, this pallet number 5, pink slip
super
total.
Inaccurate.
200. You know what I'm saying? And they haven't gone through a lot of ballots yet. So if they're finding this much right here, and they're saying, explain it. Now, the third part is the big smoking gun right now, I think. I showed this to Johnny yesterday. We talked about this. Deleted databases.
That is huge.
Okay. Before they handed over the machines, it appears that they found on the back end that they went in there and they deleted a bunch of files. Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, before they handed over the machines to the Senate audit team, because you look at the actual printout they show, and we were looking at the date. It says modified 412, modified 412, modified 412. So they deleted a bunch of files before they handed over everything. And you can see like all the dates there. 412, 412, 412, 412, 412. They want to know what's up. That's technically, I think that's breaking the law. Once you agreed to give over everything intact on January 13th, anything done after that, you're breaking the law.
Yeah, why are you?
You're not,
what are you deleting?
Yeah. What are you hiding?
What did you delete? Let's like now it's like why did you delete this if they were supposed to inspect the machines right as is?
Yep.
Like as is. That's the whole point.
Yep.
Did they not think that they would find? Now you find this and you're like, okay, well, how do we find out what they deleted? How do you hold them to account? It's never been done before. No, it's never been done. But see, fam, that's what I'm going to think is going to be the issue in this whole situation, right? Johnny, on the next tweet, I just put the same thing over there. Pretty much, it's the same tweet, so you don't have to worry about it. It says that Maricopa County deleted a directory full of election database from the 2020 election cycle days before the election equipment was delivered to the audit. I mean, that's... If you're like, it just is more suspicious. This is what allows people to make up conspiracy theories, actual conspiracy theories. If you continue doing shit like this, you're gonna just cause more distrust in the system. So if you want more trust in the system, you establishment types, then why don't you fucking like go ahead and do everything they ask for? Give them everything they ask for. The only thing that I can conclude is that you are fucking hiding something, because otherwise you'd have no problem. You'd be like, hey, sure, I'll take the lie detector test. I'll go through whatever. I got nothing to hide. I'm good. Yeah. Like, I mean, why do we not hold our elected officials to the same
same levels as that we will hold somebody else. Okay, take a lie detector test. All right, why don't they have to take a lie detector test and stuff?
Audits are good. They're
audits
trying
are great.
to paint this. We should have audits all the time, just for public, so the public can be like, "Hey, my vote counted." Yep. People don't feel like that. This is why people don't vote. So people who are arguing against an audit just because it's a Republican that they don't like or Republicans that they don't like you're doing yourself a disservice, because at some point it's going to be the other way around, and you're not. What are you going to do then? I'm going to call you a hypocrite.
Well, they're using the same tactics going to use on the grassroots, and that's why we have to stop them now. We should be questioning it every single time, every single election, for them to show us their work. And that's what's going to happen, fam. They're going to be, okay, there's going to be hidden spots within all the software. Now, Benny Smith is there. He just arrived. Benny Smith is the fraction magic guy. We know him well. He arrived, so he'll be assisting. He's not part of the audit team, but I'm sure they're going to lean on him for some advice, because Benny Smith is on the farthest when it comes to looking at software, when it comes to looking at code.
Yeah, he knows the coding.
He knows a lot of things, but he also knows that these machines, he understands the Dominion machines inside and out, that they're going to leave some tracks over in certain places, but they might not be able to get all the way the information they want. In other words, they'll say somebody accessed the machine at 4 o'clock on election night. Not at 7 o'clock. You're not allowed to do that. What did they access for? They won't know exactly what they did, but they'll know they'll be in there. And they're going to find little things like that. Can we use that to prove that there was fraud taking place? It's like, okay, we don't know what you stole, but we know that you were in the building, that you weren't supposed to be in.
It's not.
Right?
It's like you can use it to cause suspicion, but it really doesn't prove anything. That's the problem with election
smoking guns.
Yeah.
You don't have the smoking gun.
You need that smoking gun.
And it's going to come to that. Now, we suspect, obviously, because we're election integrity activists, that something's going on, a lot of foul play, but also the mainstream media with their narrative and what they've been doing, they've kind of been,
fully been,
they've been kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? They've kind of been proving our theories and stuff like that. They've been, I'm like, okay, I think you're making us right here by the way you're pushing back. You're pushing back with an intent, with a plan, with a desire to really smear this. Why? Because you don't want us finding out something that's going on. So the Daily Show went out there. I remember when we were watching it from a distance, Johnny and I, while you were inside, we were waiting for you to come out. We were filming it. And we were like, oh, we know they're going to fucking paint this in a bad light. We know what they did. Yeah. We know what Noah did when it came to Bernie Sanders, the whole laughing and making Bernie Sanders look like an idiot.
He just both-sided Palestine, too.
Of course he's going to just both-side Palestine. So they did a little clip out there, and we got it over here. We'll take a quick look and see how they're smearing.
Last week, I traveled to a sweltering Arizona, where Republican state senators are auditing results of the 2020 election in a giant arena next to an actual carnival. Sure, there's already been 2 audits and a recount, and it's 101 goddamn...
False. That's false. There has not been 2 audits, and the recount is not the same as an audit, and the way they recount, they only recount as percentage.
Yeah, 0.04% of the ballots.
They counted 8,000 ballots.
Yeah, and that's what Chairman Slayton told us about.
Which is less than the 1% manual tally
in LA
County.
Yeah,
does.
people don't know this, but this is why we're doing this.
And what was the other? What were the 2 audits, Johnny?
Oh, probably logic and accuracy tests.
There you go.
Not audits.
There you go.
Done by the vendor.
The vendor.
The vendor for that was recommended by the EAC.
They used to work at Dominion, and now they're at the ES.
Yeah, and now they're the companies that say they verify the machine, say yep, they're good, and they, you know what I'm saying. So there's a conflict of interest to say that something's working bad in an audit because they're the ones. Yeah,
but these people can blatantly repeat this lie all over mainstream media.
Everybody.
Everybody.
They lie.
They
lie.
Joy Reid,
Reid,
Rachel Maddow.
All of them. And it's taken as fact. It's just pointing that out. Okay.
Ali Vesci, whatever his name is.
Degrees out, but there are still men like this ready to throw their support behind election integrity.
I've been here all week, and I'll be here until the audit's done, is my plan. So what's going on right back here is the most important thing going on in our country right now.
What do you have there on your hip?
Smith & Wesson 357 Magnum. There has been word that Antifa and BLM may be coming in, so they're trying to be careful and secure the premises.
Have you seen any signs of Antifa?
You guys have probably heard about the carnival that's going on here. There's a little concern about whether or not that would provide those kind of folks an opportunity to come in and try to infiltrate and get access.
So there is some fear that BLM might meet behind a tilt-a-whirl, organize, and then bum rush the situation.
Bad people can do bad things, and I'm not going to say what they may try to do.
Outside of possible Antifa carnies,
can I say something?
Which was...
Okay. So we went there, and one of the criticisms Pasta and I give to the right is stop with the fucking Antifa shit. Like I get it. I don't know where you're getting this information, but again, I understand why they fear that Antifa would come in, because some of the people in Antifa might, I don't know, hate Trump, so they might. But like, if there's not a credible source that's happening, you saying that discredits you, because it focuses on the politics of the ideology and not on the actual election. Yeah. And of course they go after this guy who was at the corner the whole time. We knew they were going to do this. We say anytime the mainstream media goes after these people, it's to make them look dumb and stupid and to discredit the audit and to make it look like an actual carnival, which is ironically, we got there, we're like, this carnival is here, right? Why is this here? This is kind of weird. So we asked them. Yeah. We asked the people who work there, and what did they say, Pasta?
They said they had the carnival did spring up. It wasn't scheduled to be there, but they did it because it was towards the end of COVID, and they wanted to have something relief for the people to go to. Also, they want to give their workers a chance to make a few dollars, and so therefore they sprung up that carnival out of the blue.
Yeah, and so that's what we did. We went, we found the information. There's no conspiracy there. But again, it's like if you repeat these things that are on like a message board or whatever, it just doesn't do them any service. It makes my job and your job 10,000 times harder, because we can't. This is what they do. They thrive on this. They thrive on making this audit look like a giant circus.
Yep, and it was just stupid. I mean, it's like, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, I don't know. I was like, it was kind of weird. Like, why is it going up there?
It was, but at the same time, it's like people do want to go out now. People are done with COVID. And people do need money, and like the carnivals provide work for a lot of people, especially in these areas that are like in Phoenix and like where you don't have all this stuff in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, really. Like
I mean, but do you think it was like kind of planned to provide optics to make the audit look a little foolish?
I don't know.
It's
not even really. It's really off to the side. Like it really doesn't even.
Yeah, it's not even.
It doesn't interfere at all with the stadium, with the Coliseum.
And
to get into
the security
the Coliseum is tough. It was tough for us to even get in there.
I know, right?
But I don't blame people like thinking that. I'm just saying, like, maybe think to yourself instead, because sometimes you have to really, the things people say, they need to like understand how that could be perceived by especially the mainstream media.
Yeah.
Was laid out in official documents outlining potential security threats. What's the harm in one more recount?
I know that it's comical to watch what's happening here in Arizona, but I think that it is also important to note that this is really dangerous to our democracy. And you know what? We saw how dangerous the post-election misinformation was. This is a group of people who are clearly partisan. It is headed by a company that has no auditing or election experience, and they're making up the rules as they go along.
So who's running the audit?
Cyber ninjas.
Did you say cyber ninjas?
I did say cyber ninjas.
Is it run by a 12-year-old boy?
It sounds like it, right?
While the Cyber Ninjas website looks like the invitation to my 9th birthday party, we must not judge audit companies by their splash page. But you give it to the pros. Let the pros handle this.
These are not pros.
Well, they're cyber ninjas. That takes some amount of training, I assume.
Their firm has nothing to do with audits or elections.
Well, maybe they're newish to it. How many audits have they done?
None.
They've never done an audit?
No.
Well, I mean, give them a wide berth, right? First job, you want to root. Sometimes you make some mistakes with your first job. I remember my first job, I burned a lot of hamburgers.
You know.
And I worked in a TJ Maxx.
There are a lot of Arizona voters who are very, very concerned about this. And I don't think they like the idea of their ballots, their election being in the hands of these rookies.
Turns out the audit has had some issues in the trust department.
Okay.
First of all, that's a lie. Okay, Doug Logan, the CEO, has dealt with stuff. Breaky's known him for years. They've dealt with working with machines, looking at a lot of the stuff. They did a lot of work in Antrim County. Yeah, it's a new company that he formed to put together a team to do that. But this guy is not a nobody. He knows exactly what's going on, what to look for. Are there areas that he needs some help in and whatnot, and he can use other experts? Of course. But that's the thing. When I interviewed Sonny Borelli, state senator for Arizona, he'll tell you can't just look on Yelp to go find somebody to go audit. This is like a whole new arena, a whole new field, and they took their time to pick that. And there's a reason why they picked these guys. They worked on the same machinery in Antrim County in Michigan, so they had a lot of knowledge to what was going on with this system.
And they here's the thing, guys. Like, you can tell right away that this is a joke. Like, they're making this a joke. Yeah. That the whole intent. If you're going into this as a journalist or as a non-biased person, you don't go and start mocking. Oh, their name. Ha ha ha. It's like a 9-year-old did this. Like, that's not. How can people look at this and say, oh, this is serious, like journalistic news that I should really take this information at truth? And that's what the mainstream media has done, is they weaponize people like this guy and the Daily Show, the whole Daily Show, and people like John, what's his name with the glasses, John Oliver, and like they weaponize these people and they make him out to be like a little bit progressive, but really they're still shilling for the same establishment talking points, and they do it through comedy. So while Jimmy Dore exposes establishment through comedy, these people prop up the establishment through comedy, and it's a threat to our democracy to have a fucking audit. Are you serious? And it actually reinforces democracy to have audits. It, like, this idea that they're trying to twist into people's minds that having an audit is a bad thing is false.
Food industry, you get audits, like to make sure everything is clean and everything. Right?
Yeah. We have health inspections like 3 times a year sometimes, depending where you live and whatnot. You're always getting checked up on. You can't mess up on your taxes, like we're talking about on all that stuff. Also, too, the fact that Katie Hobbs, she'll gladly do somebody like controlled propaganda media, but when a little rinky-dink reporter with a camera and a small phone runs and asks a question about the audit, she goes running away, and they get the highway patrol to defend her. So she doesn't have to answer questions. Same thing as AOC. Doesn't want to answer questions. They only want to be in controlled environment. Why? They're not honest. It's propaganda. And it's propaganda.
The funny thing is that they don't even ever go over the process here, which is what we did. We went over the process of how they were manually telling stuff. So
they can't. They don't know anything about it.
Yeah. And the whole, like you said, Fee, the whole intent of it was to make fun.
It's
of
make
it.
a fun
and smear.
They
and
said
muddy
it
the
themselves.
Waters and undermine.
They've said it themselves. The whole, like in like every newsletter and every tweet Katie Hobbs has done, the intent of all these people, this is a circus. Look at this. Like, it's that same elitist establishment fucking mentality. Like that, they know better. You're dumb for even thinking this, and to make all these people look like idiots. Hey, maybe that guy is an idiot. Maybe some of these people are. It doesn't matter. An audit is a good thing. Yep. I don't care about your political preference. It doesn't matter. People need to have trust in the system, right? Isn't that what you want? Well, fucking give it to them. They're twisting this to make it about emotions again, so people don't logically think with their brain like, hey, an audit is actually a good thing.
And the fact is that they repeat, hey, there's been 2 audits on a recount, but who knows? I mean, the fact, it would maybe take you 15 minutes of work to find out what type of audits they really were, what the process were of these audit, and you'd be done in 15 minutes and go, okay, this is not a real audit.
Yep.
Well, all the mainstream media sources say that it was an audit, right?
Of course they do. They just throw that out
It's only the Convo Couch and certain other media outlets that are saying that it's not an audit.
Uncle Ron, this is not an audit.
And the worst part is, like, most of these people are on the right that are talking about this, so they get discredited automatically because they're on the right. Yeah. And so it's like, for us, it's like we're like the only ones on the left talking about this, really, like about this specific audit. Yeah, we're the only ones like really actually talking about it.
Yep.
Starting with Cyber Ninja's conspiracy theorist CEO, an auditor who attended the January 6th insurrection, and mysterious UV lights used to look for Chinese bamboo in paper ballots. Really? To help clear the air, I talked to John Brakey and Ken Bennett, who are inside working on the audit.
There's been so many bizarre stories going on through the media.
You can have some pretty far-fetched ideas on both sides, and what we're doing is simply proving or disproving as many of those as we can.
Speaking as somebody on the outside, this feels like it's just feeding into conspiratorial thinking.
We're mythbusters.
Great.
Okay? We're doing things we think are foolish, but people believe it's real.
What is this I hear of a UV light?
There was a UV light that was being used to supposedly check for watermarks in the ballot.
I want to follow up on this. Bamboo?
Bizarre, huh? That's because Southeast Asia uses bamboo in their paper, supposedly, okay? We're myth busting.
But are you looking for traces of bamboo using
We're looking
UV
for
light?
everything in there.
So that's a yes?
We're looking to disprove that it's not there.
Some people believe that paper from outside of the authentic ballot paper that should have been part of the Maricopa audit got introduced into the system and might be the paper on which 40,000 people cast illegitimate votes.
All Chinese ballots are on bamboo?
Yeah.
Is it because soy sauce would be too obviously racist?
Oh my goodness.
Is there a chance people believe this because people add fuel to the fire by elevating this and therefore letting that be
what do we
part of the
do?
conversation?
If we validate that something they think might have happened didn't happen, then we're not throwing fuel on the fire.
Are you looking into the Hungarian vector?
I didn't know about that
That's
one.
the Hungarian vector.
It's a bullshit thing I just made up that sounds cool and a little bit spooky. I was fortunate enough to see the operation firsthand.
See,
and the people.
It's just like, it's that whole, like, let's make them all look like fucking idiots. And look, here's a really constructive criticism I will say of any election integrity person. I swear, I want to give them media training. How do you answer these questions without putting your foot in your mouth? Because sometimes this is where the PR mind comes in, right? You cannot, you tell them the truth, but you also don't allow them to weaponize what you're saying against you, which is what this guy did, which is what every mainstream media has done. The bamboo thing, like, they like what's his face? Keith Olbermann took John Brakey's little, clip and out of context made it sound like he was for believing the bamboo thing.
Story.
What Ken Bennett is saying is right. These theories are out there. People believe them. Guess what? How do we disprove them? You fucking do it. You look for every sort of thing. You say, okay, fine, we're gonna listen to you. As crazy as it may seem, we're gonna do this.
Yep.
And the fact is that American paper ballots are on 20% recycled paper.
Yeah.
So if there is a difference in paper, that could easily be found. That is not something that's crazy out of this realm. Now, of course, when the right pushes these things like bamboo and all this other crap, yeah, it hurts their credibility. But what they're saying is, guess what? We're going to do everything to just pretty much just throw out any sort of thing that isn't really true. And they don't really believe that at all. Like, we've talked to Brakey. He's told us, like,
that's
I don't really...
Javon Hutton Pulitzer. He mentioned something before, so they're actually putting it on Brakey. It's really ridiculous. But once again, fam, they need the PR training. I think this is something that Benny Smith can help them with because he's been through this process before with Bev Harris. You never repeat what they're saying. Well, there's been talks that there's bamboo in the paper. Have you heard about that? I heard a lot of theories. We're there to authenticate all the ballots to make sure they come there. But you don't believe that there's bamboo in there? Listen, I don't know what's in there. They could have got them from Kinko's down the street. We're here to verify and authenticate all the ballots, period. That's it. You don't repeat the fucking thing that they say. And I know John didn't know that, and he didn't see this coming because he's never been in a situation like this before. You never repeat what they're saying. So you're saying you're not looking for Chinese paper in there.
Yeah.
We're looking to authenticate the ballots to make sure they have the 20% recyclable paper in there, and they came from the contractor that we had them. Anything else we find, we'll let you know. Next question. That's it. You never repeat what the fucking theory, what they're saying. You don't say that.
I'm about to send you over there to get...
because we know these things.
Yeah.
You don't repeat it because you repeat it. Because John said he goes, well, there's been a rumor, oh, so you are looking for the thing.
Journalists are trained to do that.
You.
And so, like, that's the whole point, right? They're like lawyers in a way. Like, a lawyer is, oh, so wait, you don't know about this? Well, what's the specific? Like, if you're not ready to answer these questions, it'll make the jury, which is the audience, think that you don't know what you're talking about, and it'll discredit you. And so that's where they need to work on that.
Yes.
Let's send Post over there to do some media training. Again. I don't know.
Well, the whole thing is that they got caught in that position. You can see Ken Bennett, and we're myth busting. We're doing this. We heard that,
which is the good track, on the right track of saying that.
But they're saying it in the wrong way.
Right.
It's just it. You just you never repeat that. You listen. We're looking to authenticate the ballots to make sure they came from where they were sent out. Period. End of story. So you're not we're looking to authenticate the ballot coming from the source we contracted out from. That is it. We will let you know and stuff like that. It has to have 20% recyclable paper in our ballots, and that's what we're looking for, period. You don't repeat the conspiracy theory inside your explanation because they'll pick it apart.
Because then you validate it.
Yeah.
Do
Anything
we
else,
have our
Johnny?
next guest?
Nope, that's it. If anything, it shows that they're regular people who don't have training in.
Yeah, it does.
I love John Brakey. I love what Ken is doing. Bennett, these guys are doing amazing jobs. I don't want to deter away from that, but they got to be careful right now because they have heavy, serious, dark forces that are coming here to twist shit and to make things look like it's not. And we have to make sure that we push back. So they got to be very careful with the words. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, Benny Smith has arrived, a Democrat leftist. I don't even know if he's really a Democrat, but he's definitely a leftist. He's Bev Harris's guy. He can help with a lot of stuff. He's not part of the audit team, but they're going to lean on this guy. Everybody knows who Benny Smith is. He can help them out with software. He can help them out with their wording. And we'll be talking to Benny Smith. He'll probably do a wrap-up show. I spoke to him yesterday. He's on the case, and it's great to have his set of eyes there. It's great to have more leftists there to explain what's going on because we just don't want this to be, a partisan issue. There are leftists who care about election integrity, and you're looking at some.
Yep.
Right. So,
our
guest. We have a little clip coming over here. You know this guy over here. I've been wanting to have him on for a long time. He's doing some amazing work out there, helping the homeless out. Just take a look at the Unholy Rome's latest tweet.
Are we really going?
The intranet. $243 watching on the YouTubes. Get on over to the Rokfin. 61 over there. I'm going to read it really quick. Some quick super rays. Let me get that out of the way. Kerry Mark, Arizona, did the ignorant incompetence in the 2016 primary, if I recall, right? Yes, they did. Kerry Mark, what they actually
Can you
did,
text him, actually?
What they did, Kerry Mark, was they cut the budget. We talked about this with Fincham. We talked about this with Borelli. That was the setup. That was to break the in-voting system, so therefore they can convince people to go to mail-in ballots.
All right, I'll read the next one. Emblem Fate.
Faten.
Move past politicians like AOC and MTGN and liberals altogether. The way liberals are trying to reform Cheney while ignoring Assange is disgusting. 100%. It's simple beyond stupid how they pretend to care about helping people. Agree.
He says he's there, John? All right.
Okay, guys, I think that's it. And it's funny because Gloria Jones, every time she does Slow News Day, she says says that she says it in the way Pasta says it.
What's that?
And it annoys Steve.
What's that?
Glory. Every time she does a
It's
super ray.
always appreciated on the couch. 68 on Rokfin. Let's get on over there. Thank you for the super ray contributions. They really do help out when we go on the road. Fam, I'm looking into New Hampshire. Something might be going down there. We have to chase down these audits and these elections. And they're really important because you're seeing what's going on. They deleted a lot of information and a lot of stuff's out of order. We got to get our election straight. Is Rome picking up? All right, Rome.
Great. So let's
take a look. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay,
all right.
great.
What's going on?
What's going on, man?
Man, it's great to have you on the show. We want to have you on for a while. We've been really admiring your work out there. A lot of your tweets, what you have to say. You're part of the Fred Hampton leftist. What does it mean to be a Fred Hampton leftist?
Well, when we started this, we wanted a strong coalition that wouldn't just put us in some type of box. And, Fred Hampton was just a rainbow coalition really inspired us to, really get all kinds of people out here on the ground and give them the voice and the platform that they need. So, a lot of people, we was going through names and this and that, but I think Fred Hampton really stuck with what vision we was going with and what we was planning on doing.
Yeah, like the Rainbow Coalition and coming together as a working class of international people. I think that's one of the most amazing things about Fred Hampton, the way he unified people and talked about imperialism and talked about, how everybody is getting screwed and how he was able to do that. I think it's one of the things that we could learn now in this movement that's happening all over the country, right? What is your definition of communism, and how would you implement that in modern society?
I mean, my definition is really just, humans being human taking care of each other. Like, always go out when I talk to people and they always say, well, how does it work on a large scale like America? I'm like, you thinking too big before you even take your baby steps first. We need to get our communities to actually be communist and socialist first, and then we can let the states catch up. But in order for us to even move on, like get off of the US dollar, knowing that, I'll keep repeating this, 15 people own 80% of our wealth. It's about time for us to move on off of the US dollar. So we're gonna have to build communes and, stuff like that. It's just, with my whole definition, communism is just people in communities taking care of one another, and people own the means of their goods, and that's about it. I mean, that's
so, because a lot of people on the right, when they talk about communism, they think of like big government, right? Like big government, it's super authoritarian. The government's going to control what you eat, how much you eat, what you get. You get a ration. What you're saying is decentralize the power to stop dependence on the government, really, and start just doing like mutual aid is what it seems like.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's like no government need to be involved, and this is why we are here on the ground now, so we can actually beat the government to your house and help your families before the government get there, so you won't be dependent on them, or actually look out for some help for them. You can always call on a bunch of commies. Excuse me.
No, that's beautiful. I the whole mutual aid idea, and what you're doing, you're going out there, you're doing what Fred Hampton used to do as far as just showing support. A lot of people, when we learned about the Black Panthers in school, it was, this radical gun group that we got to get rid of and whatnot. It's like, no, they gave mutual aid. They helped children out. They have food lines. They filled in the holes where the government fell short,
including healthcare, including education.
Yeah.
Yep, free lunch and everything.
Yeah.
Well, Rome, let's shift to foreign policy, because, you talk about a lot of people, like when Martin Luther King, you talk about Malcolm X. It seemed like a lot of them were exterminated or killed or murdered when they started paying attention to what was going on outside of our borders. How important do you think foreign policy is? And what's your thought as far as the masses not being aware of what does happen outside of our borders? How do we get them to pay attention?
I mean, like I was just telling my, excuse me 1 second, I need something to drink. I've been smoking all day.
Go ahead.
No problem. I feel like what he just said, though, regarding communism is more of anarcho-communism. And the reason I say that is because the whole decentralization of power is extremely important if you're trying to form a society, because that's one of the criticisms of communism from the right, is they think it's going to be the government being authoritarian and not just from the right, but from the libertarians and anybody that's afraid of anybody telling them what to do. Like that's the thing. And he's right. Like you can't have centralized power. That's my whole thing. Once you have centralized power, you don't know how well these people are going to operate.
Yep.
Like I think we're at a point where people aren't trusting in the government, and so people just want to be able to provide their own things. The problem right now is that the government isn't allowing you to do that. They're not allowing you to create your own education or your own health.
Can't even collect rainwater.
You can't. It's illegal.
Yeah, I know.
It's like that's part of the issue. But yeah, like regarding foreign policy, what Pasta was saying, why is that? How is that so important?
But yeah, like I was telling my little cousin and some stranger from down the street, he had asked me, why should Black people care about, what happened to Syria and the Palestinians? And I'm like, it starts here, it starts here. Our tax dollars fund these things, and when will it stop? When will it ever stop? You never know when these colonizers might be knocking on your door or knocking your door down, and they be funded by the government. And we know how this government looks at us and how they look at our communities. They gentrifying our neighborhoods as we speak. They are already doing this. So when will it stop? Just because it's not bombs hitting us don't mean we aren't getting hit. So in order for us to stop it, in one place, we got to stop it altogether. Everybody is feeling the weight under the iron fist of America.
Yeah.
And we all gonna have to lift up together. It's gonna take every last one of us across the world. And that means people in China to India to Africa. We all gonna have to fight the American government in order to grow as humans.
Exactly. But it seems like people in the US have primarily played team sports for the longest time, right? Yeah. Like, I'm blue, you're red, this is black, this is white, this is Republican, this is Democrat, this is this and that. Like, it's very easy to fall into that duality.
America was raised on gangs. Like, we all have that gang banging mentality. And I always, this is how I break it down to people that I grew up with in the hood. When they want to get into politics, I always tell them, like, look at them. It's red versus blue. It's just like grit versus blood. And my politician is better than your politician. My leader is better than your leader. We kill more people. We help more people, and this and that. It's always this gang banging mentality, but overall, you guys still stay in the same neighborhoods. Y'all still pay taxes and shit like that. So no matter what, at the end of the day, you still work together, even though y'all hate each other. But everybody got that gang banging mentality. Motherfuckers be having Trump flag and a motherfucking Biden sign in the next yard, and they be fighting, not knowing that they both paying into the same shit. It's just like, pay attention to what's really going on, because y'all fighting over this, but both of them are agreeing on cutting your Social Security. So that's what y'all should be fighting for, instead of fighting against each other about who dick you want to suck. Either Biden.
Well, I mean, Rome, like you've seen this before. Like, you've talked to people about communism or mutual aid, about the things going on. How have you found it to talk to conservatives? Because like a lot of people think, well, Rome's work is just done on the left, trying to get some of those left to center people to buy more into socialism or communism or mutual aid. And sometimes a lot of people say, oh, we got to get those people, but they don't even look on the right and say, let's go over and get the conservative and convince him that we're fighting for the same thing. How have you found it trying to do that and convince maybe some conservatives you run into along your travels?
I mean, all you got to do, like, people want to be stuck in this box. They do not want to find any agreements, any type of, any type of base with these people, because they are Trump supporters, because they probably are racist or shit like that. But like I was saying, you people stay in the same communities, if not the same state and shit like that. So it's something that you have in common. Like, when I go and I talk to conservatives, I say, oh, I thought y'all said America first, but the politicians you just voted for sent off all our money to so-and-so.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought it was America first. Why is they getting all this? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's something that you can, talk to these people about. Even healthcare. A lot of conservatives want universal healthcare. A lot of people won't go over and talk to them and they don't know, but as we poll Trump supporters and right wingers, what was it? 49, it was more than average, 49, 50% wanted universal healthcare. Yeah. So, nobody ever goes over there to actually talk to them. So now, everybody's stuck in their bubble. Now they are going to be stuck being conservative because this is who they are around. They have nobody to come around and bust their bubble. You have nobody to come around and bust your bubble on left-leaning issues. If you call yourself a communist or a socialist, and you have ain't no fucking conservative going to come and knock on your door. If you are in a democratic state. So
like how are you supposed to come together?
People just scared. They scared. They a lot of people are actors. On the left, they want to feel good about doing some good, but they don't actually want to go out there and do it, because then they blame it on disabilities and shit like that. But trust me, man, like, I ain't got it all, and I keep telling them, like, I don't know why y'all would send me out there to say this shit, because y'all know how I am, and if I'm in a heated you know what I'm saying, engagement with someone, I'm gonna be like, not, I'm just saying, like, if we agreeing and shit like that, I'm gonna be like, shit, it's time for us to, you know what I'm saying, do something. Like, but if y'all want me to go out there and do it and say, I'm gonna say what the fuck I want to say. But if you want to get out there and you don't want, you know what I'm saying, my voice on your dollar saying, hey, some of these politicians have to go, then get your ass out here, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's not hard. Everybody's just human beings. All you have to do is practice, man. And you got it. All it is some form of acting, you know, and talking, you know. All this shit is some form of acting, talking. You gotta, you know, make sure you can pull people by their strings, make sure you watch what's going on in their neighborhood, how much are they making, the minimum wage in this area, how many homeless people in this area, you know, shit like that. And then play those facts at their feelings. And you ain't really gotta act, you can really mean it. I really mean it when I come out here and I say I wanna help you, but shit, you gotta really put that shit on, because all these people are used to political theater, and they want you to come out there and say something in Spanish and some shit like that. Just to fucking, you know what I'm saying?
It's true.
Bad enough I'm not playing identity politics, but you know, when I get out there and, you know, it's certain roles you gotta play, man. But
what you do reminds me, the points you made remind me of when Bernie Sanders ran in 2015 and he went into like the Midwest and he went into the South, very, very huge, as you probably know, areas where there was a lot of white poor people, like very, very poor people. And so when you have this whole, like, you know, anti-immigrant stance on the right, a lot of it comes from fear, like you said. A lot of it comes from, oh my God, like I don't have anything, and now we're giving away this. It's just it breeds on the ignorance, the propaganda, the culture war. When you actually talk to people and you sit down with them and have a conversation, their fears and their hopes and their dreams are so similar to any other working class person anywhere else, and that's what politicians completely miss, because they're not going to tackle those situations. They're not going to live. They don't live in that situation, so they can easily ignore that and feed off the culture war propaganda. But when you go actually talk to people, they're concerned about their education. They're concerned about their taxes. They're concerned about their homes, the money, how to get their kids to school. All of these things that are human concerns, and that's what needs to happen. And we saw that, of course, when Hillary Clinton got nominated. West Virginia, that had originally gone to Bernie Sanders, went completely red because people rather had a blunt, non-seeming politician, right, than a like neoliberal establishment elitist like Hillary Clinton.
You gotta remember, a lot of them states where she lost them votes, the NAFTA deal passed. You know what I'm saying? The NAFTA deal hurt a lot of them states, and that's what helps me with conservatives a lot in the Midwest when I'm trying to flip them to, or at least look into communism. Like, look, man, all of our, like, dog, if it ain't that, it's the Patriot Act. Like, what do you want? Like, okay, you mad at these immigrants coming over, but who are writing these laws? Like, come on, man. And then it's red states that's, you know what I'm saying? It's red states that's coming, that the immigrants are coming through, correct? Come on, man.
Yeah.
You all, like, it's not film. It's not the small guy, bro.
No, it's a foreign policy too.
It's these motherfuckers. And bro, the immigrants are not a problem. The problem is overcompensating, you know, and low wages, high motherfucking, like they raise our motherfucking they raise the price on life basically every time our wages go up.
Cost of living.
They raise the cost of living. They raise that shit so fucking high to where it's like, well, it's like right behind each other. And we just fighting all the wrong wars. Like, you keep looking at the small guy, bro. Like, these motherfuckers can't pass no bills. They looking for a good life like you. Like, you know, and I wouldn't even tell them to come to America. I'd be like, shit, please just go to the next, go to the next country that you can. Go to Canada, because we ain't gonna treat you right here. And you definitely ain't gonna have no motherfucking health care or any type of good job. They're gonna put you in a fucking field. They're gonna slave you for $2. So, bro, why is you like, dog, these motherfuckers be making $25, $35, $50 an hour talking about immigrants, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Bro, immigrant ain't taking your fucking, if an immigrant can take your job, you ain't supposed to have it, motherfucker.
I agree. Well, you're an advocate for housing, right? How bad has the homeless issue got, and how do we begin to really tackle this? I mean, for reals, Rome, because this is like, it's getting serious. I think we're going to be close to 750,000 homeless people in America. Yeah. You're out there doing the work right now. How bad is it, and what do we do?
It's horrible, especially California. California is heartbreaking because, you know, when I first was going out there, a lot of conservatives like, oh, that's the socialists, and a lot of conservatives out there believe it's socialist. But I'm like, bro, ain't nothing socialist about homeless people. Like, what the fuck is you talking about? Like, no, the governor is not a socialist. No. Like,
I know.
Yeah.
We know.
Yeah. I had to break down definitions to people, but I see what they are doing with the tiny housing out there off the freeway. But that is a setup. And as a Black man that grew up in the projects, that's exactly how they made the projects. Exactly. And they don't have any rehabilitation centers inside the tiny homes. So it's going to be drug fueled, and we're going to have people sharing needles. We're going to have people sharing pipes, having raw sex, sharing diseases. So it's a big setup for a Black market, just like every other thing that the government have set up. So if we was to really tackle homelessness, every fucking tiny home that we set up or apartment shit that we set up for people that use drugs or people that was homeless, we need rehabilitation centers in those same lots where they can go. They might not take the help, but it'll be right there when they need it. And I'll be so sick and tired of people saying, well, they on drugs, they don't want the help. How you know? The help not even there. The help not even there. And even if it's so hard to fucking get it, when it is there, shit, I'm better off doing drugs because, and then, you know how hard it is for an atheist to get off drugs or to get clean when these motherfuckers push religion down our throats and people just like, I'm just, this is why I'm brand the fucking drugs, because my mother was abusing me and making me go to church. My father was abusing me. I got molested by my pastor and shit like that. People don't understand. The world is so big, 7 billion people, and we have to have an open mind for all of them. So it's hard, so have real rehabilitation centers, not shit that's funded by these churches, you know what I'm saying, who's gonna have some type of backdoor services to these government loopholes, and they don't have to pay taxes on these foods and clothes and whatever. Really help these motherfuckers, or don't do it at all, and let us do it. You know what I'm saying? Because we've been waiting on the government to do this since fucking forever. Forever. And if they ain't gonna do it rightly, if they ain't gonna do it the right way, they ain't gonna do it at all. All they're gonna redo is remix the fucking projects for fucking homeless people and that's some drugs that came from the fucking projects.
One of the biggest concerns is the opioid crisis. Obviously, that like in America, we criminalize drug abuse, right? We need rehabilitation centers. One of the most successful things I've seen here in the homeless advocacy community is bridge housing, because you can't just take somebody off the street and expect them to just live by themselves. No, you need to help them regain entrance back into society. That's why the bridge housing is really great, because it allows people to have access to therapists, to food, to like any sort of mental help that they can get, to actual healthcare that they can get, and to career and job opportunities that will allow them to be with other people.
They can use them homes on their IDs, because a lot of them tiny homes do not count as a place of residence,
which doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you can't just build structures and put people who aren't mentally there. And that's one of the biggest things in America is if we had healthcare, people would go to see psychiatrists. People would go, like right now, especially after the pandemic, there are so many people suffering with mental health, and it's understandable. Look at the state of the world. Look at how people are living. Look at like the uncertainty of the times. It's going to only get worse. And instead, what we do is we imprison people. We obviously, along with the crisis, we need to decriminalize the drug abuse.
All that comes with capitalism, because they need you poor enough to, you know what I'm saying, go to work these fucking bullshit jobs, dumb enough to fill their fucking prisons, commit these crimes, and they all make money off of it. It's gonna be this way as long as these capitalists are leading this nation, you know. And it's not the politicians, you know what I'm saying? The politicians are passing these laws, I know, but it's the rich motherfuckers who are writing it. Look who profits, follow, who the fuck profits off of war? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Who the fuck profits off of putting people in prison? We have for-profit prisons in America. People don't understand the definition of for-profit, and this is a big problem. I have an agenda to lock your ass up for profit. Like, this is a problem. This isn't a rehabilitation the way they say prison's supposed to be. They doing it for profit and they lock you up. Now you working for slave labor, and you gotta get a motherfucker like Kamala Harris want to lock a nigga up over his fucking time. Maybe put you on death row just to keep you there.
Yeah.
Just to keep you, like,
yeah.
Man, people really have to wake up. People really have to fight against capitalism as a whole, because if we don't keep following the money, we're gonna be lost in the sauce. And by the time we look up and say, "Oh, it was Bill Gates," you're gonna get hit. You're gonna get hit hard, and I see it. Like the motherfuckers who got hit in 2008 with the recession. They thought they was gonna live long and have all that money, and then as soon as they looked up, everything got took from them. And you can run into homeless people that was rich in 2006, 2007, and they got everything taken from them. And this is what happened. This is what's happening to the poor people now. They taking what's left, and they telling us, be happy with the crumbs that we give y'all, because you're lucky that we give y'all this. But what we need to do is get the fuck up and say, hey, nigga, this is already our shit.
Yeah.
You know what? We just take it. How about that? You know, and I have to remind Americans, you have more guns than your precincts. You have more guns than your militaries. Stop being a fucking pussy. I don't know if that's gonna get me canceled.
No.
Stop being a fucking pussy and fight. Fight, stand up, die, live. Because this is all that's left. Us against them. Like, this is all that's left. There is no more kumbayas. There's no more songs to sing. There is no more signs to write out or hold up. This is it. We are on the front line. Our life is on the line here. And if we don't, you know what I'm saying, fight capitalism at the fucking base and take our fucking seed of socialism back and put it back on the ground, we're going to be in for a very, very bumpy ride.
Yeah. Rome, I've seen a lot of stuff lately as you've been gaining popularity online. I've seen a lot of stuff out there where people are going back and digging up your past and trying to put that out there to smear you. And you just said, like, I don't want to get canceled for this, and that's why I just want to kind of stay here for 1 second. What are your thoughts? Because I saw you make a great video, and I thought it was so awesome where you're saying, listen, you're a different person than you are back then. You've become a better person and whatnot. What do you say? What's your message out there to people who've maybe had a past, who've had, you know, who want to just evolve and become something special and different? And how do you fight back against these assholes that are trying to smear you because you're actually a voice that people are listening to now for communism, socialism, and mutual aid?
For the people that has a past or even think certain type of ways now, get outside of your community. Talk to people. Like, actually talk to people, man. You know, and listen. You know, feel their pain and understand, you know, that the world is bigger than your cul-de-sac, than your hood. And it's way more people, and they think way differently than you. Like I just said, there's 7 billion people, you know, and for me growing up in a Black neighborhood, like a lot of them do not tolerate homosexuality, you know, a lot of them still not open to the trans community, you know, and just growing up in an environment like that, it really did, you know, just like how people grow up conservatives or shit like that. But you have to step outside your box. You have to talk to people. And even back then, I was messing around with a homosexual woman, and you know, I was just going through things. The nigga was just heartbroken, and I let my feelings get the best of me. And you know, as a man, sometimes you just have to shut the fuck up. You know? But me and her personally, we still have a great relationship. She actually, her wife, you know, I donated some sperm to her wife. It's a happy ending. You know, I didn't believe in happy endings, but sometimes they do come true. But you know, and as far as motherfuckers smearing me and shit like that, man, they're gonna do that for the rest of their life because this is all they have. You know, they're not gonna get out here with me. You know, I'll be in some of their cities, you know, helping out the people in their communities. I don't see them, you know, they talk this and that, and you know, they mad because I try to use my influence to tell people to stop voting. But I mean, I'm helping more people than a vote would do. You know, I'm just trying to focus, like, stop giving hundreds of dollars to, you know, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and, you know, and all these people, and you can just be helping your neighbor with them same dollars, you know what I'm saying? Like, fund, like, if you don't trust each other, y'all can build a credit union and make it to where everybody knows where the money is going, like, you know, but fuck the haters. I'm gonna continue to grow as a man. I'm 29, and I got a long way to go in my journey right now. So, you know, it's not that's not that's not even the worst thing I did. Like I said, like, you know, that's like I used to be a gangbanger, man. Like, you know, real, you know, like I'm from Detroit, man. Like, that's not even close. Like, y'all want to dig up some past, try to look up them greenlit videos, you know what I'm saying, from the police departments. Yeah. Then you will have some shit. But other than that, you know, I just try to keep it moving, man. Focus on what's important, and that's my people, that's communism.
Rome, what are your thoughts on the censorship of independent media? Now you know, I see you on the Fred Hampton Leftist. I see you do your videos. What do you think of censoring people you don't like? I mean, you know, from our perspective, once you censor somebody, it just goes to everybody, and it's mainly the left that eventually gets censored too, because it's the anti-establishment, right? There's the anti-establishment right and left, so it's the anti-establishment, I think, that's like a threat, because once we start talking about, you know, workers' rights and all of this in general as a, you know, post-partisan situation, then it's like, oh well, now you're all like a threat to the predator class.
I told motherfuckers, niggas is like, oh, we need to silence Trump and take away his Twitter. I was like, no, no, nigga, they about to flex. They flexing. You're gonna let them flex their muscles. If they take away Trump, they're gonna take away everybody's. They just letting you know. We take away the president's Twitter, we take away your Twitter. And freedom of speech does not exist on my motherfucking site. You're gonna say what I want you to say, or you're gonna get taken down. And a lot of people don't understand this because they don't fight for press. You know what I'm saying? They don't even report. They just listen, and they are told what to think. You know what I'm saying? So they don't give a fuck about what the fuck you gotta say. They want to shut up people like you, Jimmy Dore, and you know, Ryan Knight, all you motherfuckers. They want to shut all y'all up and call you and smear you and do whatever the fuck they can. So, hey, whatever, whatever, it's good. It's good because it's gonna shut y'all up in the long run for them, because they ain't even gonna report on it anyway. All they gotta do is watch MSNBC, CNN, and get their news anyway. It's not gonna hurt them. So, but my thoughts, fuck censorship. I barely even block people when they come on my shit and troll and shit like that. Like, I barely, like, I keep telling, like I told people, you can smear me all you want. I don't give a fuck. Like, that's your freedom. Like, if you want to spend time on your day, talk about me, I'm flattered, you know? Thank you.
We know what that's like. Johnny, you got a question? All right, Rome, why don't you tell people what you're doing right now? I think it's a beautiful story. The fact, you want to ask?
Yeah, no, I wanted to ask you, Rome, because I don't know if you've seen this, but there are a lot of people right now quitting their low-wage jobs. Like, there are a lot of, like, you know, what, the Wendy's people, the Wendy's that was closed because they don't have enough workers. Then you had just a bunch of different ones. You had a Chipotle one too. Attention Chipotle customers, wanted to know why we're closed. basically they don't have people to, so all of these people, right, are quitting because there's no staff. No one wants to work anymore. These people say nobody wants to work anymore, but it's really nobody wants to work for a low wage. I mean, it's been how many years, and we still have the same federal minimum wage. And of course, Joe Biden promised that he was going to raise it to $15 minimum wage. He, of course, backed off of that. It was supposed to be a shoo-in. It was supposed to be a non-issue. And people are kind of saying, we're not going to work until you pay us a living wage. What do you think of that? Do you think this is the potential of a stronger workers movement that's starting along with everything else?
And we need to really, I hate saying this word, but we need to capitalize off of this. And really, like I was just telling the Fairhampton leftists yesterday, we need to make quitting your job trendy to these kids, you know what I'm saying, to millennial and Generation Z, because it's not going to stick. It's not going to stick if we don't make it a trend nowadays. And we got to have an umbrella for these people to stand up on. And this is why, you know, it's important to have people like me and all these people out here doing mutual aid, so they can at least hold on for like at least a week or two,
right?
So they won't have to run back to the government, run back to their jobs and shit like that. They can find some help. But we really have to reach out to people in different cities, communities, and let them know, like, hey, drop them cash apps, bitch. We got a couple of dollars. It ain't much, but it's gonna do something for you, you know. So I think this is the start of something very, very beautiful. General strike is on the way. If we can get this right, if we can make the kids, you know, because we don't really need the boomers to do this. You know, we don't really need Generation X to do this. If we get enough millennials and if we get enough Zoomers to do this, I think that would be enough labor power to shut some shit down.
Yeah, and it's not like you're excluding them, but it's like the thing is, the reason why so many young people are obviously anti-capitalist is because the system hasn't worked for them at all. They're seeing just destruction and poverty and etc. So for the boomers, the system worked for them. So they see capitalism in a positive light. So the younger generations, they're like, no, this isn't working. This is obviously not for us. So that's why you see that happening more. On the younger generation.
My girl is Generation X, and she tell me all the time, like, yeah, y'all gonna have to lead this, because I got much love for him, but like I was just having a conversation with her about Dr. Cornel West and stuff like that. He will be on Fairhampton Left this soon, but I was telling them, like, we can't keep on asking these boomers how to lead a revolution.
Yeah.
Well, that's where that labor force is coming from.
They never had one themselves. Like, I can't ask somebody who don't have
younger generation. It's on them too as well, because that's where a lot of that labor force is coming from when you look at these fast food restaurants and stuff. So if they say no, that's it. Because back in the days, you could pay for a year of college with a summer job. Now it takes 18 summer jobs to pay for that year of college. So some things are really, really messed up. Rome, thank you for coming on today. Why don't you tell everybody what you're doing as far as your activism with homelessness? And I heard you were moving all around the country right now, and I heard you were in Ohio as of last. So let everybody know what they're doing, what you're doing.
Oh, yeah. Right now, we're just trying to feed our people, clothe the homeless, trying to, really just push the communist agenda all over America, long story short. Trying to hit them where it hurts. That's the people, that's the workers, get in their mind, trying to plant a seed in their mind so they can meditate on socialism. And right now I'm in Florida. I got a giveaway going on tomorrow. 3416 Moncrief Road. And that's north of Jacksonville. On the 29th of this month, I will be doing one in Toledo, Ohio, Lucas County. I will have a exact location in a couple of days when I get back to Detroit.
You put it on your Twitter where they can find it?
Yep. My Twitter is Unholy Rome, and shit, you will see everything that you'll see up there. I just do another video up there to promote it.
Perfect.
Awesome. And shout out to the Fredhampton leftists for what you guys are doing, and, you know, and the uplifting your voices and the, you know, voices of people trying to push the idea of workers' solidarity. I think it's really important, especially right now. So thank you, Rome, for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Love you, Rome.
See
Speak
you
to
later.
you soon.
Oh, yeah.
That is Unholy Rome.
Unholy.
Sorry for skipping that last section and stuff. I was time constraint. That was a really great question. That was something you're pointing out. I didn't want to leave that out there. That is pretty amazing. I think a lot of people have to look at that stuff, and I'm glad that is happening. They're saying, you know what? When a society gives you more money on unemployment than it does in your regular job, and that's what's happened.
But that's what the Republicans are going to say. Well, we shouldn't have given them that much. But it's like, it's really a living wage. 50, like it's not even that much money. I mean, if you think about it, it was only enough when it was a $600 extra federal income, but now it's $300 a week. That's not going to sustain you, but that's what some people make working at a fast food restaurant for 40 hours a week. I don't know who can live like that anymore. And the gas prices, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
They're ridiculous, even out here. Not just because of the Colonial Pipeline, but they're out here. They're huge. They're fucking ridiculous. You can tell when you go to the grocery store how much everything has risen, but wages have remained stagnant. You can't ignore that. You can't tell me that we can't give people a living wage when we're giving Israel $4 billion to go bomb Palestinians.
Yeah. And then when somebody makes $400 a week, but they stay at home and the unemployment gives them $250 plus the $300 extra, that's $550. That's an extra $150 that's desperately needed.
Yep.
So what do you expect people to do? They're going to say, you know what? I need the extra money. I'm going to stay at home and say I don't feel safe working there. But it just exposed exposed our society for what it is.
It's
the wages
failed.
are way too low. It's a failed society. And they're going to have a hard problem getting back to this. And I'd like to see this right now because these corporations making tons of money at top by giving their workers nothing. That shit's got to go.
Yeah.
That shit's got to go. We can't have a society that will work like that.
He's right. Rome's right. We need to really, take advantage of the situation. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I just mean like this is a moment right now that needs to be seized. This is an opportunity.
Yes.
Yes.
Let me just read some really quick super rays and we'll get over there. David Asper, love and thanks you to you folks. I read that one before. Carrie Mark, we read that. Embel Fate, we read another one from Embelled Fate. It says, all these concerns from The Daily Show and the MSNBC complaining, or the mainstream media complaining, about Cyber Ninja being a private company are irrelevant when they never complained about CrowdStrike. Yeah, they used CrowdStrike for their benefit. They didn't give a shit. Yeah. CrowdStrike was a fugazi
all these
company out of...
in the election are also private companies.
Yeah.
Dominion and what is it?
ESNS, and Heart, and all these things.
All these people, like all these companies are private entities. They never cared. They don't care about that. They're just weaponizing it.
I don't know how you say this name. Zoxafix?
Yeah.
Zoxavoivix? Get back down there and teach them. You got it, Zoxavix. Joni Bug, thank you. No, Joni Bug, thank you. Teresa Aland, a fascist is stealing my land in Arizona. Thank you so much. A-Rem is in the house. How you doing, A-Rem? What does it say about how much and what exactly happened in Maricopa County on, before, and after Election Day 2020 when deleting files and other blatant obstruction, committing further crimes are choices made as their best option to escape their worst crimes? Again, as opposed to allowing an audit or a recount to prove legitimacy. It's the Tim Canova experience all over again. Yes, it is. And this time we get, somebody said something to me the other day who was a Democrat. He says, listen, the Democrats and the progressives, they rolled over and they took it. They cried. They stomped their feet, but they didn't do anything to make sure they're stopping this from happening again. There are a lot of Republicans out there. They're like, hey, shit, this shit ain't happening again. Let's get to the bottom of this. Let's push this. This should be progressives doing this right now.
Yeah.
We should have been calling for audits all over the 2016 primary, and we would have won a lot of them. It would have shown that Bernie Sanders wiped Hillary Clinton off the map, but we didn't. We stood there, we took it. Even when a Democratic lawyer said we can go in the back room and pick whoever we want, that's when we should have planted our flag. I'll keep saying it over and over again. That was our opportunity, our avenue to say, let's get elections straight. Let's learn everything about elections. Let's learn how they work, and let's fix them so grassroots candidates can hold power and represent us in Congress, not like they aren't today, because they're not. Teresa Alan says, I am a land and water protector. Mother Alan. Thank you, Teresa. And Carrie Mark says, homelessness is an epidemic across the nation. Mm-hmm. I have seen it myself from the west to the east. It has been criminalized. Yes, homelessness has been criminalized, and it's a shame because you can't even sleep in your car at nights, and what choices do you really have when you're completely homeless?
And it's criminalized because we have a private prison for-profit system.
That
so
Rome mentioned.
They need bodies there. So they're going to criminalize poverty. Okay, so let's just get to the next section. This section's important because it's not like Palestine is not being bombed. They're still being bombed constantly, right? And they are retaliating. They began retaliating and fighting back. So more than 100 were killed as Israel intensifies on Gaza onslaught. This is from the Electronic Intifada. They do a lot of great coverage on Israel and Palestinian conflicts, specifically anything Middle East related. And I just wanted to read a little bit from there. Basically, Israel pounded Gaza for the 4th time Thursday, yesterday, with the health ministry and the territory reporting more than 100 killed. This is the most severe offense since 2014. When we went over the movie documentary Gaza Fights for Freedom, that's when they were talking about that, how that was the deadliest attack. And so now we're repeating the same process. Palestinian armed groups, though, are actually retaliating by firing projectiles towards Israel. 7 people, including a soldier and 2 children, have been killed in rocket strikes in Israel since Monday. 2 of those people, though, were Palestinians. So 5 Israelis. Not saying that those lives aren't valuable, but when you're trying to say, I'm sad for Israel and the violence they're undergoing, guys, like just look at the numbers, and then that tells you everything. Palestinians reported unprecedented Israeli fire at the close of Thursday, which marked the Eid al-Fitr holiday at the end Fitr holiday at the end of the Ramadan, like we said, the Eid Mubarak, and particularly in the northern Beit Hanun area in eastern Gaza. The families were displaced from their homes. We're looking to seek shelter in United Nations schools. And again, so this is something that people miss, right? Gaza has been under attack. Palestinians cannot leave the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody's going to bomb California, we could be like, oh, let's go drive to Arizona. Let's go to Vegas. Well, Palestine is an open air prison. Think about it. They're not allowed to leave. What is an open air prison? Well, it's a prison without like physical like barriers. So the Israeli soldiers, the Israeli government does not allow them to leave. We've talked about this before. They cannot leave. They can't go out in the sea. They get shot, like all of these things. So really they're in a prison and they're right there and they're getting shot. They're like, it's really gross. Nobody talks about that. This has been happening forever. Yeah. And again, the Gaza was under a comprehensive land, air, and sea blockade imposed by Israel since 2007. So that's been happening since 2007. And guess what? They don't have any bomb shelters. They can't go under the ground. So what do? Yeah. It's literally just sitting ducks. They're sitting ducks.
Did you see this tweet over here? It says, in the Gaza Strip, Palestinians are saying goodbye all over social media, expecting to be hit and killed by Israelis' heavy shellings any moment now. Israeli attacks against Gaza must be brought to an end. And like you said, there's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to hide. Yeah. Through air, sea, or land, you can't leave. It's a blockade. It's been going on since 2007, I think. Or is it 2004? I think it's been since 2007.
It says 2007, yeah.
Yeah, so it's been going on for quite some time. So it is an open-air prison, fam.
And this is something to note. The Israeli military actually reported in a closed-door meeting that they had underestimated the rate at which Hamas was able to fire rockets and their range capacity. So a lot of these weapons that were given by Qasem Soleimani made it possible for these weapons to reach the Palestinians. This is why this man was a hero to many people in the Middle East, because he was fighting back against the West. Now, you can say he's controversial, whatever you want to say, but Americans need to stop looking at everything from a Western perspective when it comes to Hamas. That's one of the things I'm really trying to push. I am sick and tired of hearing Hamas this, Hamas that, Hamas must be condemned. Like you do, like I'm asking people, they don't answer me. What would you do if you are in an open air prison and you're getting shot at and there's nowhere for you to go? Are you just going to sit there and say, well, let's just be peaceful and like turn the other cheek.
Yeah.
Like seriously, when you see your brothers, your sister, your mother, your grandmother, entire families, guys, entire families wiped out from existence, you're just not gonna say fight back. What else do you have left but to fight back? That's all you have.
Well, it's really sucks when you hear politicians say, well, Israel has the right to not have their children sleep, not be able to sleep at night because they're in fear of rockets coming over from the Gaza Strip from Hamas. And it's like, well, why are they doing that? Maybe it could be the cluster bombs we're dropping there on the Palestinians, which would provoke a rocket attack. So it's just a two-way street. And to see the politicians kind of placate to that, they're placating to AIPAC. We know what they're doing. They want their money. And
this is about their money.
Their money. So.
And so Netanyahu actually threatened the military against Palestinians in Israel, right? So there's a video, I don't know if I put it in there, but a lot of Israelis they see them as less than human, Palestinians, right? Yeah. And so there's a lot of ultra-nationalist Israelis that are backed by police that are attacking Palestinians in Jerusalem, and even in Israel, where Palestinian citizens of the state are living in close proximity to Jews. So Benjamin Netanyahu is considering deployment of the military and permitting the use of administrative detention without charge or trial in cities where a state of emergency has been declared. So basically, they have no civil rights. They have no human rights. They could just be targeted without trial. This is like crimes of war we're talking about, right? And that's what's been happening. And on Thursday, also, this is from Suleiman Mansour, breaking Israel attacks Gaza with a half-ton bomb now. It's a BBU 39 bombs, and that's what's in there. You can see it right there. This is real. This isn't a movie. This isn't a fucking...
And remember, there's no military compounds or anything. These are civilian compounds, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what the military compounds they create are just literally, fighters civilian fighters.
With rocks.
They don't have I think they have a navy, but it's very, very tiny. Lebanese news and updates said the maneuver begins tomorrow and is the largest maneuver in the history, as it simulates a war against Hezbollah and Gaza for a whole month, interspersed with simulated launching of a huge number of rockets from the north and south. And this was May 8th, and it was called the Chariots of Fire. Now, I want to go down, Johnny, to 1, 2, 3, 4. There was one I wanted to particularly. Okay, right here. Biden half asleep and with his face almost shutting down. Notice left eye and face, voicing support to Israel in its attack on Gaza that left dozens of civilians killed and millions of dollars worth in damage. So this is on May 12th. Biden said this.
Thoughts on Israel?
Are you concerned about the violence in the Middle East? And can you talk about what conversations you have had with officials there?
My national security staff and defense staff has been in constant contact with their counterparts in the Middle East, not just with the Israelis, but also with everyone from the Egyptians to the Saudis to the Emiratis, et cetera. And I had a conversation with Bibi Netanyahu not too long ago. I'll be putting out a statement very shortly on that. My expectation and hope is that this will be closing down sooner than later. But Israel has a right to defend itself when you have thousands of rockets flying into your territory. But I had a conversation for a while with the Prime Minister of Israel, and I think that my hope is that we'll see this coming to conclusion sooner than later. Thank you.
He literally looks like the one of the guys in the audience of the Muppets, the two dudes who make fun of he's got that straight face with the dark, thick, hairy eyebrows and stuff. When he makes that face, that's exactly who he looks like.
Yeah, and notice what he said, guys. Notice how he said we spoke to our everybody in the Middle East. He didn't mention Palestine.
Yeah.
They do not recognize Palestine at all. He said everybody else.
Israel has the right to defend himself.
But Palestine. Oh, you didn't speak to Palestinians. We're not. We're just gonna. They're obviously indicating they're taking the side of Israel because guess what? They're AIPAC politicians. That's what it comes down to. It's disgusting. And like Israel, it's like, so Palestine, when they defend themselves, they're terrorists, and Israel is just, poor little victimized Israel. I mean, that's the fucking media, and all this does is actually increase the potential for anti-Semitism, because what
exactly
like
if
you feel like these people are untouchable and hold no accountability, that there's something that's going to come out of that. Sarah Abdallah posted, Mariam and Saeed, Palestinian children aged 3 and 5, were murdered last night by Israeli bombs in Gaza as they were sleeping in their home, along with their mother, Rima, who was 4 months pregnant. And again, entire families wiped out. I just wanted to point that out, because sometimes you need to put a face to the victims. Otherwise, it doesn't really hit. Heartbreaking. Gazan medic Hassan al-Attar bidding farewell to his daughter and his grandchildren, who were killed by the Israeli aggression on northern Gaza this night.
I mean, we have to see this too, because a lot of people don't realize how true this is and stuff. This is children. These are babies. Once again, there's no justification for that, and I'm sick and tired of people trying to give justification. So, you want to play the video real quick? We will. That's crazy that we can't. Yeah, we can't show. We will get flagged for showing that, so we can't do that. Sorry, guys.
Fam, skip the next one because it's the same tweet. And then go to the following one. So this is Vanessa Bailey retweeting Press TV. She said this is called genocide. 73 years after the Nakba, the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians has never ceased. The Uwad Nabil Abu Salamaya, a martyr who was also the son of a martyr, brother of a martyr, and father of a martyr. All his brothers and sisters were killed by Israel 15 years ago. Today, with his death, the whole family ceases to exist. Free Palestine. Again, entire families wiped out. Entire families, entire generations, because what else are you going to do other than fight back, right? So this Scarlett Nixon tweet, and you can show it, Johnny, but just advise, warning. Garland Nixon said, so Joe Biden is lecturing the Russians, Iranians, and Chinese about human rights as Israel slaughters children with his blessing and U.S. weapons. This is something we always have to point out. The U.S. weapons, the funding to Israel, the $4 billion, it's like 3.9 something. So basically $4 billion in funding to Israel. This is what your tax dollars are doing, supposedly, right? Like if we believe in the system, that's what's happening. Dan Cohen posted this tweet. Horrific Israeli bombs a group of Palestinians trying to help a wounded person lying immobilized in the street. So we'll play the video of that. But I do want to point out Dan Cohen has been on the phone with doctors in Palestine who are just obviously feeling the brunt of this as people are coming in and they don't have all the medical equipment. They don't have the things that you would need at a hospital to do surgery. Meanwhile, you're operating while bombs are going off. Think about the concentration, the needs you have as a surgeon while not having all the equipment, and then also being in like a war zone. Yeah. That is extremely, difficult, and it's just crazy people don't even think about what the doctors have to deal with, but it's like the few doctors that they have, well, they don't have access to any of the shit. Like Israel stops the imports of medicine, etc.
Israel doesn't like to get clean water in Palestine. Jesus.
Yeah. So right. So you can't, this is obviously an attempt to exterminate people. Like there's no, because if it was like war, in war, there's certain stipulations you have to adhere by, no attacking civilians and etc. That's not being followed at all. Press TV is a great resource now because, they're Middle East or Iranian, and Palestinians have taken to the streets in the occupied West Bank. This happened 17 hours ago, protesting the Israeli aggression on Gaza. Israeli forces opened fire from checkpoints to disperse them. So that's a little bit of what's happening there. One thing I wanted to point out, guys, is that the Israeli police is not declaring or reporting the number of people that are being detained. In Haifa, over 35 detainees have been denied legal consultation. Minors' parents have been prevented from seeing them. Reports of excessive violence during and after detention. We don't know where these people are going. They're just getting taken. And then I wanted to also point out, right over here, that the Human Rights Watch is effectively an extension of U.S. colonialism, power, and CIA. Naming the Zionist entity an apartheid state is damage a limitation. One, Israel is not a state; it is an occupier of the state of Palestine. Israel is way more than apartheid; it is genocidal. I mean, at this point, there is genocide. There's obvious targeting of civilians. It's not just they're not just targeting Hamas; they're targeting the people inside.
Yeah.
There.
And there's too many children, so I mean, there's nothing you can say at this point. It's like I don't even want to hear it no more. I'm sorry, I don't want to even hear the excuses. So.
Real quick, there's this article, the Qassam brigades to Israel, no red lines, no rules of engagement when it comes to protecting Al-Aqsa, our people. So now they're fighting back. I just wanted to point out towards the bottom of the article, you've seen some of what we've prepared and accumulated over the past years, and we have much more in our stock that is our source for good, that is a source for your pride in the front of the entire world. The Abu Ubaidah told the Zionist enemy, the world has witnessed your defeat while you were bombing civilians and residential towers to exhibit your firepower, underscoring that there is neither red lines nor rules of engagement when it comes to defending the Al-Aqsa and our people. You own missiles, technology, and jets, but you couldn't decode our people. Despite all differences in military capabilities, we dealt horrible missile strikes against you. Then countries didn't dare to strike a tenth of it ever since the Nakba. He went on in threatening the Zionists. Mobilize whatever you want. We've prepared types of deaths that will make you damn your own selves. So they're now angry and fighting back, which is fine. The problem is they're going to take that and say these people are terrorists. They're going to take that and say these people are, but they do that anyway. So at this point, who cares at this point, right? I had to point out the virtue signaling once again of the squad, because a lot of the progressives they're talking about it, they're praising it. But this is what Rashida Tlaib, who is Palestinian, actually said. Hamas does not speak for the Palestinian people. You know what they want? They want to be free. They want to live in human dignity. Let's see. Isn't
that what Hamas mainly says? They want to live free.
Yeah. So let's just hear what she said.
The actions of Hamas and the actions, you could say, of Israel are pushing more people in Gaza, Gazans, to support Hamas. What would be your message to Hamas tonight?
Oh, no, let me tell you something. Hamas does not speak for the Palestinian people. I want that to be very clear. I'm tired of talking about this other right-wing extremist group that really is not even centering on what I think the Gaza people really want. Because let me tell you, what I hear from Gaza people is like, doing this violent attack is not going to bring their family members back. They're not going to bring their beautiful children back, their innocent children back. You know what they want? They want to be free. Okay. They want to live with human dignity. And you know what that's going to take? That's going to take holding Israel accountable. Human Rights Watch declared them an apartheid state. The prominent human rights organization B'Tselem in Israel declared them an apartheid state.
I'm going to take some of these points. Rashida Tlaib, thank you very much indeed. The actions of Hamas
what she did say there that's important is that the Israel's own organization declared them an apartheid state. Like, that's their own organization. But here's the problem with what she said. Hamas is really doing nothing wrong. Like, what? So, okay, I get that bombing Israel isn't going to bring people back, but at the same time, the U.S. isn't pulling their support for Israel anytime soon.
Yeah.
So you can't tell these people how to defend. She doesn't mention AIPAC. She should mention AIPAC. Like, all these things, it's like, like, you can vilify Hamas all you want. That doesn't change the fact that where's Nancy Pelosi on Israel? Oh, where's Joe Biden on Israel? Let's fucking, like, call it what it is, Rashida. Yeah. Like, I get it. She cares. But when you're still toying those, like, oh, Hamas should be condemned. it's the same bullshit. AOC's doing the same thing too.
Yeah. It's just you have a Democratic Party, your own house, that is filled with a bunch of AIPAC darlings, and then people who actually identify themselves as Zionists, including your president. So why don't you hold them accountable? Enough with the virtue signaling all the time. You're not doing anything to really stop this. You're not holding the power mechanism accountable, which is Congress across the board. You know what I'm saying? And just one little tweet from Ilhan going bling bling doesn't mean shit if you're not going to hold Mama Bear accountable, who Mama Bear just said the other day that Israel has the right to defend herself.
And
whatnot.
and
who are you to speak against Hamas? There's a lot of people in there who like Hamas. Hamas in southern Lebanon is praised upon for what they did to protect their rights and their people in southern Lebanon, and beating back Israel and sending them out of there. So please stop talking for people. Oh, Hamas, this way. You're just manufacturing consent for Israel to continue the bombing while you're still trying to look like you're against exactly what's happened. No, you're not.
So
take it to the mat or shut up.
AOC too, like right here, Johnny. It's the second tweet. Walid Shahid tweet right there. She said the president and many other figures stated that Israel has the right to defend. But do Palestinians have the right to survive? Do we believe that? If so, do we have a responsibility to that as well? We don't even have to watch the whole thing, but let's just hear some of it.
This is about an imbalance of power. When I first got here in 2019, the Israeli government refused to admit 2 members of the United States Congress, Rashida Tlaib and Representative Ilhan Omar, into the country. Banned members of this very body because of who they were. Said it was a sign of weakness. We have to have the courage to name our contributions. And sometimes I can't help but wonder if the reason we don't do that, if we're scared to stand up to the incarceration of children in Palestine, is because maybe it'll force us to confront the incarceration of children here on our border. If by standing up to the injustice.
All right, so she says that Palestinians have the right to survive. She doesn't say that they have the right to defend themselves. Again, that is my problem with her whole statement. A lot of the things she says are actually true. Like, you do need to deal with the consequences of your domestic policy and your foreign policy. But again, this is still manufacturing consent for, Hamas is evil, because then they're going to take that and say they're terrorists and we need to go and destroy them, right? Because poor Israel. And the Ali Rotary Club fam in the next, if you just go below, it's this guy that commented on it. It's the next link, but his name is Ali/Rotary Club. I don't know if you can't find it, whatever. But he basically says what makes it worse is not one call for BDS. They're basically just assessing the situation. Like, they're not extremely popular politicians with huge platforms. This is the chance to initiate calls to action. This is why they're talkers and nothing more. Again, they're not doing anything to actually, hold anybody accountable. So here it is. I wanted to put this out, fam, because we always go back to how are things interconnected, why we need a free press. Mm-hmm. Well, this is WikiLeaks. This is a WikiLeaks cable that told us that this was in the works. Exposed the Israel's secret of the Dahia doctrine, deliberate targeting of civilians with excessive force. And it says right here, if you click on it, Eisenkot labeled any Israeli response to resumed conflict the Daya doctrine in reference to the leveled Daya quarter in Beirut during the Second Lebanon War in 2006. He said Israel will use disproportionate force upon any village that fires upon Israel, causing great damage and destruction. Eisenkot made very clear this is not a recommendation, but an already approved plan. From the Israeli perspective, these are not civilian villages, they are military bases.
That's what they say.
So this is what they say, and that is what the excuse they use to actually say that they're attacking Hamas. This is what they're doing now. They're saying we have to attack Hamas because Hamas is a terrorist group. So that's what it is. And this is why WikiLeaks is so important and why people like Julian Assange are so important, because Like this is things that the mainstream media is not going to tell you about this. We're the ones talking about this. We're the ones covering this with the truth. We're not saying, like if this was a complex situation where, you didn't know who was, there were bad guys and good guys. This is like a very obvious situation. The media isn't allowed to cover this way because they're also APEC bot.
Yep.
Right.
Who's Eisenkot?
I am not 100% certain. It was the Israeli
general or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of generals have said this before.
OC Northern Command Major General
Gadi
Eisenkot.
But this is nothing new. A lot of leaders and generals, they've always said, well, we're just retaliating against, these are Hamas fighters that are going out of these villages and creating tunnels underground. It was all about their tunnels back in the days. And they would justify bombing all these people, saying these civilians are providing cover for Hamas to commit terrorist acts. So therefore, they're aiding and abetting terrorists, and they will be destroyed as well. So that's what they say, and they often say that the Hamas puts these people in harm's way. But a lot of times, it's a lot of Palestinians only look to Hamas because no one's helping them.
Nobody else is helping them.
Nobody's helping them. So it's really one of those situations. It doesn't justify their actions whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? And once again, if you look at scoreboard, if you look at the fact that 102 Palestinian people have been killed right now, a lot of them children, and 5 Israeli people have been killed, that is not like...
It's not...
that's not like an act of... What's the word I'm looking at? It's not war. That's one side wiping out the other.
This isn't exactly. This is genocide.
This is not the
This is what's happening. It's an open air prison. I'm going to keep saying that. Ajahn Mubaraka said, "Look at the world, the wars, degradation, poverty, greed. It is becoming clear to people around the world that all of these issues stem from one source: the Western capitalist system. Palestine, Syria, Haiti, Colombia, Afghanistan, coups, CIA, racism." I mean, Ajahn was right. I mean, we have to look at how our foreign policy has directly contributed to everything that's been happening. This picture, I think, is a beautiful picture, very powerful. I just wanted to show it. Free Palestine. This guy, after the picture was taken, he was shot in the leg.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to point that out.
That was the Gaza protest too, as well. The rocks that they were throwing at the fence. You can see the tire smokes going everywhere. That is an amazing picture. So
yeah.
I mean, he's holding his Palestinian flag while he's rolling up a rock to throw, but they're going to shoot him back with rubber bullets, and it's not an even fight. It's not an even kill fight here.
Actual bullets, actually, yeah.
Yeah, that too. My bad. You're right.
Yeah, rubber bullets is for
us.
For us.
They get the Palestinians get the real bullets. I'm sorry. So
IOL News had this. This is what's going on. This is the last part. I wanted to talk about the protests coming. Right. So this is Mandla Mandela, grandson of former President Nelson Mandela, joining in the pro-Palestinian march in Cape Town, South Africa.
Well, mostly I stand here as a father. My son today is turning 4 years old, Mandela Ikram Mandela. And to continuously witness children in Palestine being shot in the back, being put in prison, it really pains our hearts as fathers, as parents, and also as citizens in the Republic of South Africa that have witnessed such brutalities in our past. And we are here today as a family with my wife, my father-in-law, as well as my mother-in-law, to say that we will not rest until we see a free Palestine in our lifetime. And we will speak against the brutality that is meted out against innocent children and women in Palestine. And that is why we are here united as a family today to charge forward with what Madiba once said, that our freedom is incomplete until the Palestinians are free.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yep.
Thank you. I love him already. Good genes, good kid. That's awesome. He's an adult now, obviously. We're talking about the grandson of Nelson Mandela, who Nelson Mandela reached out to Fidel Castro for the help he gave and whatnot. So we talk the communism. Look at the communism providing aid and help for people who are being oppressed, and he's paying it back. He's learned that lesson. Like, hey, we're not free until the Palestinians are free. It's all connected, fam.
And fams, I just wanted to end the show with a thread, and I'm going to be updating and adding to it because some of those protests have passed. But it's a thread with all the protests going on this weekend nationwide, Saturday and Sunday. Different protests all over the country. Protests in Atlanta, Chicago, Florida, all over Florida.
Can we jump in the car and drive to Allentown? Let's go. Atlanta. Let's get in the car and get to Atlanta. Where's that one, John? Chicago, Michigan. That one. Where's that?
One already went, but I'm gonna update it. There's
Austin.
Another one. Austin.
Let's go to Austin. Let's jump in the car.
There's so many. We're gonna be going to the LA one, guys. The one in LA. I believe
in Ohio.
I think it's at the Wilshire Center in LA. But there's, this is, if we can get attention on
Orlando, fam,
Palestine, and on the Middle East, and on foreign policy, we can potentially start, exposing people's minds to how much of our money goes into foreign just intervention, right?
Yeah,
the imperialism
Minnesota.
and how it relates directly to our just the lack of assistance to American people. It directly contributes. You're contributing to these bombs. I mean, supposedly the tax dollars are used for bombs. They tell you that we don't have money for healthcare and education.
Yeah.
Like this is what they say, right? Like, and so that's what's important to take out of all of this is we need to, again, seize this moment, create an anti-imperialist movement. Not just for one particular war, but against the imperialism that encroaches our society. Yep. It's directly related to our domestic policy.
And the what's the word? The habit. I don't want to say it's a habit and stuff like that, but the culture of violence comes with you. If they do it abroad, they'll do it back home, and we've seen that.
Yep.
They brought their imperialist home, and that's it. We do that over there. We do it over here. Garland Nixon talks about that all the time. What can be more racist than bombing people of color in their indigenous land all over the world? How many Muslims do we kill in this world every year with our sanctions and our bombs? Enough is enough. Enough is enough. And we have to stop that. I'm looking forward to the protests come Saturday, fam. So that's
Same,
that.
fam.
Johnny, anything else on that before some Super Rays?
Oh, I just wanted to quickly show this thing. I don't know.
Please.
I don't know if y'all saw this a couple days ago.
Oh, I did
The rule's
not.
now simple. Get vaccinated, wear a mask until you do. The choice is yours. Just putting it out there, just showing that.
Yeah. That's what the government's saying. The CDC is saying if you were vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask anymore.
Well, more talk is coming out about where this particular virus came out of, and there's a lot of questions a lot of people have to ask. What Rand Paul did to Fauci the other day, I know you've seen it on Jimmy's Done Ashore. Jason Berman's been talking about this stuff for a long time. Go back and watch JB stuff. He's been talking about the money lines that Fauci made a ton of money, all the research they've been doing.
Yep.
It's a people like Jason. It's not like where did the virus come from? It was where was it intended to use? Like, in other words, he believes it came from one of these labs, a bioweapon, but where did they intend to use it? You know what I'm saying? So that's a big question there as well. That's it. All right, let's get out of here. Damian Sullivan left the Super Ray. Thank you so much. It's always appreciated on the couch. The Roar Media said, we love our brothers and sisters at Roar Media. The biggest roadblock to action on genocide and other human rights crimes is ignorance. Thank you, Convo Couch, for your courage and your commitment to the truth. Thank you, Roar Media, for always having our back and telling the truth.
We
just
love
along
Roar
with
Media.
Us. We love our friends at Roar Media. Carrie Mark said maybe the gas pipeline hack was about making it harder to get to protest. Who knows? We never know. Thank you, Carrie Mark, and thank you all for joining on in. Thank you to all our Patreons. Thank you for all of you who went over to Rokfin today. 70 people at one time. We'd like to get to 100. We'll get to it next time. Thank you for everybody up on YouTube. Remember, we're still censored over here, so it's important to go over to our Patreon, our Rokfin, and other places that help us and provide us to get to the areas like Arizona, like these protests. So thank you so much for Pasta Jardula.
Fiorella.
Johnny Sue on the ones and twos.
Convo out.
We'll see you soon, guys.
Bye.